Chapter 105. Guqinsha placed down the book. The great dragon armor wriggled and wrapped around his body. He then totally hid himself and merged with the air. During the refining process, the great dragon armor changed according to his will, and it was really mysterious. The demon descending blade became even more translucent, and when he waved it casually, a bright light would shoot out from it. Its slicing power was shocking, and even experts at Tao Realm Transformation 3 were like tofu in front of it. During these few days of cultivation, he had used up all the sky dew. There were thousands of thick books in the sun-moon altar space. Guqinsha carried them with him and read them when he had nothing to do. During these few days, he gained a lot of knowledge regarding how the ancient emperors worshipped the heavens. He knew even more about the sun-moon altar. Scoff. The crown prince, Guqinsha, stood up and waved his hand. All the people locked up in the prison fainted. He just left this place. The moment he left, Guqinsha came out, but he didn't save them. Instead, he walked to the evil god's flesh and blood. The moment he came out, the black energy wrapped around the great dragon armor. The spiritual energy in the great dragon armor started to dissipate, and it gave off a withering smell. So amazing. Unfortunately, evil god flesh and blood, you met me. I can't do anything to you, but in my eyes, you are a treasure. He waved the demon descending blade in his hand, and the jade chains were broken, allowing the evil god's flesh and blood to fly away. The moment the flesh and blood flew up, he grabbed it. The moment he grabbed the evil god's flesh and blood, his body felt like it was filled with endless evil intent. His soul was on the verge of collapsing, and he was on the verge of dying. Evil God's will is so strong. In the blink of an eye, Guqinsha's soul was stolen by the will of the flesh and blood, and he became the bearer of the will of the evil god. He was no longer a walking corpse, but an evil spirit. However, he was prepared for this. He used the sun-moon refinement, the sun-moon transformation, the sun-moon annihilation, and the will of the sun-moon dragon regained its clarity. In other words, this was just a split second to buy him some time. He tossed the evil god's flesh and blood into the altar space, and then he himself entered. The evil god's flesh and blood wanted to fly into the sky and burrow into the ground. But once it entered the space of the sun-moon altar, it was shown by the light of the altar. Instantly, it let out a shrill scream of terror. Your subject, Guqinsha, offers the flesh and blood of the evil god as a sacrifice to the heavens. Guqinsha lit up the grass. Buzz, the light on the sun-moon altar grew brighter. The thick light wrapped around the evil god's flesh and blood. With a slight roll, the nearly invincible evil god's flesh and blood melted in the depths of the light. Then, a heavy downpour fell on the altar like a waterfall. This was not heavy rain, but heavenly dew. My God! Guqinsha was stunned at first, then ecstatic. He killed evil people and sacrificed their blood and souls to the heavens to obtain the heavenly dew. The last time he killed a shadow priest, he had obtained 3,000 drops of heavenly dew. However, he had exhausted all of them recently. He didn't expect that sacrificing the evil god's flesh and blood would give him so much. The evil god's flesh and blood wasn't just a ball of blood. It also contained the evil god's will. If he let it escape, who knew how many living beings would die? Guqinsha saw the heavenly dew land on the altar. It quickly filled up and overflowed. It seemed like there were at least a few buckets of it. What do few buckets mean? In the past, he used drops to calculate the heavenly dew, but now he was using pokes. The heavenly dew won't be lost in the altar space. I will go out right away and save Long Yin's family. Guqinsha wasn't affected by the heavenly dew. He walked out of the sun-moon altar. The demon slayer slashed open the cage and pulled the 5 of them into the sun-moon altar. The 5 of them fainted, but they weren't afraid of exposing the secret. When he wanted to save more people, he suddenly felt a sense of danger. He knew that Crown Prince Guqinsha was probably back. What a pity. I could have saved more people. Sigh. He sighed and immediately fled in another direction. The great dragon armor was extremely fast. Soon, he was out of the underground palace. As expected, he saw Crown Prince Gu Hongsha rushing out of the underground palace. If he had been half a step slower, it wouldn't have been so easy for him to escape. Seeing Crown Prince Gu Hongsha rushing into the underground palace, Gu Chunsha didn't hesitate anymore. He activated the great dragon armor and soared into the sky, fleeing for his life. He didn't care how furious the Crown Prince would be after losing the evil god's flesh and blood. None of this had anything to do with him. He had already achieved his goal and weakened the Crown Prince's strength. If the Crown Prince had refined the evil god's flesh and blood, his cultivation would have skyrocketed. At that time, he wouldn't have been able to complete his mission to recruit the precious Jade Nation. After sacrificing the evil god's flesh and blood and obtaining a few buckets of heavenly dew, he wouldn't be lacking in spiritual herbs for cultivation. The Demon Slayer Blade, Great Dragon Armor, and even the Black Tortoise Egg would grow. This could also be considered as interest for taking back the ring of the Great Spirit God. After flying for an unknown period of time, the Great Dragon Armor's spiritual energy consumption had decreased. He wasn't stingy, so he used another spirit crystal and continued flying madly. After flying for a day and a half, he saw a vast wilderness. After locating his castle, he immediately descended and went to his study. In the study, he moved the 5 unconscious people out of the sun-moon altar space and collected the heavenly dew. Sure enough, there were 3 buckets. Altogether, there were at least 100,000 drops. A drop of spirit nectar is worth several thousand to 10,000 on the market. Heavenly dew is worth more than 100 times that of spirit nectar. How much money did I earn this time? Gu Chunsha was overjoyed, but he didn't express it. He was a taciturn person. Of course, he could buy spirit nectar on the market, but he couldn't buy heavenly dew. It wasn't easy to estimate the value of heavenly dew, so he wouldn't sell it. Moreover, he discovered that using heavenly dew to upgrade his weapons and armor was very foolish and wasteful. It was best to consume heavenly dew himself to increase the density of the sun and moon dragon blood. Using the sun and moon dragon blood to activate the sun and moon talismans was the best way to cultivate transcendent artifacts. There's demonic chi in these 5 people's bodies. However, I need to inform Long Yiyun to come over first. Gu Qinsha took out the cycle box and used a golden brush to write on it, asking Long Yiyun to come over. However, he didn't mention anything about rescuing her relatives, because such a thing would be discovered by the Celestial Designer Institution. Whoosh! Not long after the message was sent, Long Yiyun actually activated the Dragon Bone sword and flew in through the window. When she landed in the room, she saw the 5 people lying on the ground. Overjoyed, she immediately rushed over, only to discover that the 5 people were unconscious. She immediately stared at Gu Chunsha with wide eyes. They've been invaded by the first prince's demonic chi. Gu Chunsha said, however, heavenly dew can dispel all evil, so there's no need to panic. I've already rescued them, but there are still some things I need to explain. Your Royal Highness, please speak. Long Yiyun had actually managed to calm down, displaying a formidable level of self-control. Seeing that, Gu Chunsha realized that this woman's mental fortitude was extraordinary. It was no wonder she could escape from the first prince's clutches time and time again. This time, I rescued your parents and younger siblings, enraging the first prince. However, we still don't know who did it. This matter cannot be leaked. Thus, your relatives must not show themselves in the future. Gu Chunsha said, we cannot let the first prince find out about this. Otherwise, he will use everything he has to attack me. Although I am quite capable now, going head-on against him will be akin to smashing an egg against a rock. I know. Long Yiyun said, this matter is no small matter. I will make the necessary arrangements. However, my younger brother is a genius. With just a bit of training, your Royal Highness, he will be able to become a capable assistant. If he is a talent, I will nurture him. Gu Qinsha nodded. Suddenly, Long Yiyun knelt down. I, Long Yiyun, swear a great oath to the Sea God and the Dragon God. From now on, I swear to be loyal to Gu Qinsha with my life. I will never betray him. If I go against this oath, may the heavens punish me, and may the earth destroy me. Gu Qinsha didn't stop her. After she finished her oath, he helped her up. Actually, the oath or not, it's all in your heart. I don't want the Dragon Sword Island to completely submit to me. I just want everyone to treat each other with sincerity and not have any selfish motives. Your Royal Highness, can you wake them up? Long Yun asked. That's fine. Gu Qinsha flicked his finger. 5 drops of blood seeped out from his finger and fell into the mouths of the 5 people. The power of his blood to destroy evil was even stronger than the heavenly dew. The 5 people's bodies trembled, and they were about to wake up. Bring them down and reunite with them. In the future, they will live in the secret chamber of the castle and don't show their faces in public. Gu Qinsha quickly said, Yes. Long Yuyun accepted the order. At this moment, she was completely Gu Qinsha's woman. She was truly obedient, and her heart was filled with gratitude and joy. After this matter was settled, Gu Qinsha once again took out the black tortoise egg and placed it on the formation core in the room. Immediately, the huge castle was filled with life again. He was a godly thief, and he had learned his lesson. When he left, he placed all his valuables in the sun-moon altar and definitely not in the secret chamber of the castle. However, when he was here, the black tortoise egg was placed in the formation core, and it could resonate with the black tortoise emerging from the sea layout. Both sides had great benefits. The castle was filled with life, and everyone's strength increased greatly. The black tortoise egg was also nourished by the layout, and it was more beneficial for it to hatch. Every day, he would draw talismans to refine this egg. Gu Qinsha communicated with the spirit of the black tortoise within. He had a feeling that this baby black tortoise was his own son. If he lost it, it wouldn't be as simple as losing a treasure. Gu Qinsha sat on the chair and let out a long sigh. His body was relaxed, and it was as if he had accomplished many things. He had also stepped into the Tao realm and obtained the 3 barrels of heavenly dew, as well as many pills and treasures. He had all the people he wanted, and he had all the money he wanted. His wings were slowly growing, and even the princes who had the support of many aristocratic families might not be able to compare to him. Although the princes had the help of the aristocratic families were very complicated, and it was hard to settle their interests. He relaxed for 2 hours and didn't think about anything. He just stared blankly and entered a state where he didn't think about anything. When he came back to his senses, he felt like he had obtained a new life. The hard work of the past few days had come to an end, and all he needed to do was rest. Chapter 106. It was because he had already been exposed. He had defeated Yuba, so the news would definitely not be hidden. Perhaps all the prince's mansions and the imperial court knew that Prince 19 had an expert of the venerable Tao realm under his command. Although this could intimidate many people with ulterior motives, it would also make him a target for his enemies. Thinking about it, he still couldn't think of a good idea. Although his cultivation had soared and everything else was going smoothly, he still wasn't able to totally subdue a Tao realm transformation 7 expert. Looks like I can only have Yiming follow by my side at all times to prevent any accidents from happening. If the heartless seizing talisman in his body is refined by someone and they start a massacre in the mansion, we won't be able to stop them. Gu Qinsha thought to himself, although my strength has improved and I used the great dragon armor and demon descending blade to injure Yuba, I have been cultivating the sun-moon dragon and my strength has increased greatly. But even if I use all my skills, it will still be tough for me to deal with someone at Tao Realm Transformation 7. Tao Realm Transformation 6 Xiantian Energy and 7 Transformation 7 Leaving the Ground and Soaring Sky were worlds apart. The former was like a kid waving a hammer and wasn't familiar with the usage of energy. As for the latter, it was like using one's strength to wave the hammer. Master, you are back. Ming was summoned and rushed back from outside. I have been patrolling the manor and teaching the generals. Master soldiers are really serious. Very good. Continue to teach and nurture more talents. Gu Qinsha listened attentively to his report. Currently, the only people he could use were Lu Yu and the other 4. Their backgrounds were clean, and they had followed him into battle. He had personally trained them. It could be said that they were his direct subordinates. However, even though the 5 of them were becoming more mature, they still lacked a foundation. Even though their martial arts were strong, they were not as orderly as the 3 incenses. 3 incense was taught from a young age. After listening, he ordered Yiming to sit down. Yiming, is the talisman in your body okay? Where is it? Thank you, Master, for giving me that talisman. If not for that talisman helping me break free from the evil god Faith, I would still be falling. Yiming said right away, the rune power is still on my brow and dantian, protecting me from evil gods. Guqinsha sighed. What Yiming said now was totally different after he refined the runes. He would probably kill him right away and return to the evil god's embrace. Then, he pointed his finger and pressed it between Yiming's eyebrows. He realized that there was indeed a ball of spiritual energy that resonated with him. It should be the rune power of the heartless capturing talisman. Back then, before he used the faithless mind seizing talisman, he had refined it with fresh blood and heavenly dew, causing the talisman's power to be extremely strong. That was why he could directly control Yiming. Just as he touched it, he discovered that the rune power and the blood in his finger emitted a thirst, as if it wanted to absorb his sun-moon dragon blood to strengthen itself. He was instantly delighted. Could it be that the sun-moon dragon blood can strengthen the rune power? That's right. The faithless mind capturing rune was also used by the ancient Son of Heaven to change the way of evil. I followed the ancient Son of Heaven's Tao and refined the rune to be more exquisite and reasonable. In that case, I will use the sun-moon refining technique to completely strengthen the rune. Blood seeped out of his finger, and he drew the sun-moon refining talisman on Yiming's brow. The moment the talisman was drawn, it was absorbed. The talisman absorbed the sun-moon dragon blood, and the ripples instantly expanded. It resonated with the talisman at his abdomen and flowed around Yiming's body. Not bad. Guqinsha was overjoyed. I do want to see if Yiming will completely change to the truth when the faithless mind snatching talisman grows stronger. I will use the Tao of the Son of Heaven to cleanse the evil aura and turn the evil in his heart into nothing. He drew the talisman again, not hesitating to use his essence blood. After drawing the talisman 10 times, a lot of essence blood was consumed. Yiming's body gave off the light of the sun and moon. He said in surprise, Master, I feel like I have obtained a new life. I seem to have touched the right path of heaven. Guqinsha's essence blood was greatly consumed, but he was prepared. He swallowed a large mouthful of heavenly dew and circulated the sun-moon dragon blood. The essence blood in his body surged and circulated endlessly. He drew the talisman again. After dozens of times, the power of the faithless mind seizing talisman became stronger and stronger. It seemed to be reaching its limit. Sun-moon refining, evil retreat, cleanse the evil, return me to the right path. Guqinsha used his blood as a guide and suddenly slapped the talisman. Guqinsha, offer my blood to the heavens. He used his trump card and sacrificed himself. Immediately, the sun-moon dragon fire appeared on his fingertip. The sun-moon dragon fire entered Yiming's brow and suddenly spread. Instantly, a lot of the black gas hidden in Yiming's body was refined. Yiming looked solemn, and his body flickered with the light of the sun and moon. He was like an ancient god that protected the right path with the emperor. Pung! Suddenly, there was a slight ring at Yiming's brow. The power of the talisman spread throughout his body and merged into his bloodline. Yiming spoke, Master, thank you for using your essence blood to summon the heaven Tao flame to cleanse my evil. Now, I have awakened and returned to the right path. I have cleared the poison that the evil god has hidden in my heart for many years. I am about to cultivate the Samadhi true flame and reach Tao realm transformation 8. Long, the blood in Yiming's body circulated quickly along with his Xiantian earth energy. Guqinsha retreated, and he felt like there were thousands of bulls trampling on Yiming's body, causing landslides and tsunamis. If the blood in a normal person's body was going berserk, they would have exploded and their bones would have shattered. But he was perfectly fine. His blood circulated to the extreme, and it suddenly stopped. Instead, flames appeared from his pores. His aura changed, and his aura was several times stronger than before. Samadhi True Flame. This was the first time Gu Chansha saw someone break through from Tao Realm Transformation 8. When one reached Transformation 8, the Sciention Earth energy and blood rubbed against one another and gave birth to flames that flowed through the meridians. Not only did the body become stronger and his dantian expanded, but he could also store more earth energy. The nature of the earth energy also changed. It became more nimble, strong, and flexible. Witnessing this process was really beneficial for Gu Chansha. Yiming broke through and understood the righteousness of the heavens. No one could make him turn into an evil demon. The hidden problems in Gu Chansha's heart were removed. After breaking through, he knelt down on one knee. "Thank you, Master, for giving me a new life. Today, I burned my old body and was reborn, all thanks to Master's nurturing." So, Master is actually the legacy of the ancient emperor. But Master needs to be careful and don't expose yourself. Otherwise, the outcome will be catastrophic. Master's body is filled with treasures, blood, and soul. Not to mention those in the evil path, but even those in the celestial path want you. Master's blood is a medicine that exceeds sky dew. Even eating a mouthful of Master's meat can allow one to live for dozens of years. I knew it. Even though Gu Chansha had lost a lot of his essence blood, he was happy in his heart. He had gotten rid of Yiming, this hidden danger, and gotten rid of his evil energy, allowing him to finally break away from the evil god. This was also a great merit. Yiming, I believe that there will definitely be people coming to find you in the near future to help you get rid of the power of the runes on your body. You can beat them at their own game and make them suffer. Many ideas popped up in his mind. Yes, Yiming had cultivated the Samadhi True Fire, and his strength had increased greatly. Moreover, he had completely converted, which was a good thing for the safety of his fief. Suddenly, he seemed to think of something and took out a 7-sage heart refinement pill. "Eat this." "Thank you, Master." Yiming was overjoyed and quickly swallowed it. Immediately, his body became even more sacred. This pill could greatly increase his power of understanding, strengthen his spirit, and make it easier for him to control his Samadhi True Fire. It was only a matter of time before he could advance to the 9th transformation of the glass jade body. If this pill wasn't precious, the Heavenly Craftsman Institute wouldn't have helped Gu Chansha build the castle so much. Even those old antiques flocked to this pill. It was obvious that this pill had the miraculous effect of stealing the fortune of heaven and earth. If Yiming obtained this pill, his cultivation would increase greatly, and it would be more destructive to some people's schemes. Gu Chansha had stolen a total of 480 of these pills. He used one himself and gave one to Long Yuyan. The Heavenly Craftsman Institute rewarded him with 2 pills and gave Lu Yu and the others 1 each. Now that Yiming had one, there were still 470 pills left. Although he had enough in stock, he still had to use them sparingly. For example, the Frost Jade Dew was wavering and hadn't completely converted. Thus, he didn't use the 7-sage heart refinement pill to rope it in. He didn't want to waste such a precious pill and raise an ungrateful person. "All right, Master, your steward's godson from the capital came to the mansion 3 days ago. He's learning martial arts from me. I used innate Gang Chi to cleanse his meridians, and his cultivation is now at the peak of Martial Dao Master," Yiming said. "What? My godson is here. Quick, let him in." Gu Chansha was delighted and immediately summoned him. Yiming hurriedly went out. Not long after, his godson came in and knelt on the ground. "Master, I didn't think that we would finally succeed. Now that we have our own fief, we even built a magnificent castle. The market outside is bustling, and the road to the border has been built. The construction of this fief has completely surpassed the other princes. Quick, get up. Gu Qinsha hurriedly helped him up. Although you and I are master and servant on the surface, we are actually friends in times of adversity. Now that I have some achievements, I will need to rely on you to manage the internal affairs and accounts of the mansion. You should learn from Ming and become his disciple. He will teach you many things. Come, take this pill. Gu Qinsha also let his godson consume a 7-sage heart refinement pill. Then he took out a pot of heavenly dew and handed it to Yiming. Yiming, from now on, my godson is your direct disciple. Use this pot of heavenly dew to nurture him, and use half of it to speed up your cultivation. Yes, Yiming accepted it. His godson hurriedly kowtowed and became his disciple. He was overjoyed. With such a powerful master as his master, things would be much easier in the future. Don't worry, master. I have taken good care of the mansion in the capital. However, many of the prince's subordinates have come to recruit me. Even the Liu family has tried to recruit me several times, but I have to feign civility. His godson said many things, causing Gu Qinsha to nod his head. I have also recruited a group of people myself. They are eunuchs and guards who are not favored in the palace. They were chased out. Originally, I had a good relationship with them. We are in the same boat. I have known them for more than 10 years, and they are definitely reliable. Some of them are quite capable, but they are not successful. I have brought them all. Chapter 107. A few million was not a small sum. In the capital city, the princes relied on their manors and officials to pay tributes. Their various businesses did not even add up to 1 million. Only those who held real power, such as the third Prince Gufasha, could accumulate a few million every year by leading an army to fight against the barbarians. However, they earned a lot and spent a lot, so they did not have much left. The wild beasts and medicinal herbs in the surrounding forest cannot withstand long periods of harvesting and hunting. I estimate that in 3 to 5 years, or at most 8 to 10 years, they will be completely harvested. At that time, we will lose our income. But so what? Gu Qinsha was also far-sighted. I've thought about that too. His foster son said, the long-term path is actually farming. Open up wastelands for farming, livestock, and strong barbarian horses. Their prices are quite high in the pass. The weather in the wilderness is hot and humid, so we can plant special fruit trees and various medicinal herbs. I've already ordered the barbarian slaves to do this. I estimate that we can earn several 100,000 a year. My fief is quite large and vast, but it is not like the capital, where every inch of land is worth its weight in gold. Master, you can find some pharmacists to refine the medicinal herbs into medicinal pills and sell them for a lot of money. There are many adventurers in the wilderness now. Insect repellent pills and antidote pills are very popular. Yiming interrupted. Very good. Brainstorm. I'll leave all of this to you. Besides, Long Yiyun is also an expert in business. Discuss with her, and you can come up with a better idea. Gu Qinsha said, also, leave Long Yiyun's business to her. Don't sneak into the fief. Although she has pledged her allegiance to me, the accounts need to be clear. After all, she also needs to raise a group of people, and the interests of Dragonsword Island are hard to settle. I don't want the bad reputation of squeezing people who pledge their allegiance to me to spread. Otherwise, who would dare to pledge their allegiance in the future? If the bad reputation spreads, how can I recruit Bayunation? My plan is very thorough, but with my methods, I don't need to squeeze Dragonword Island dry. His foster son knew the severity of the situation. Gu Qinsha thought about it and agreed. His cultivation base had advanced by the day, and the great dragon armor was undergoing endless transformations under his refinement. Sooner or later, it would evolve into the king dragon armor. With the addition of the Sun Moon altar, going to the chaotic, demonic ape temple wouldn't be impossible. Of course, it was impossible for him, a prince, to steal the construction of his fief. He had to raise a large group of subordinates, so he had to create his own income. That was the balance of the heavenly law. As he was speaking, Liu Yu came up to report the situation. Your Highness, it's good that you are back. Yuhan Liu brought her trusted subordinates. a total of more than 5,000 people. They said that they have left Bayou country and are here to seek refuge. They are prepared to stay here for a long time and hope that your highness can accept them. Since your highness isn't here, I don't dare to make the decision on my own. I can only arrange for her people to stay in the town to the west of the castle. At this moment, Frost Jade Dew came in again, saying that she hoped that her people could stay in the castle. Zhoubu, Qianzhen, and the rest waited in the main hall to receive her. Do you want me to invite the Cold Jade Dew up to talk to Wanya? No need, I will go myself. Gu Chunsha went down the tower and went straight to the main hall. The meeting hall was very spacious and could accommodate thousands of people. In the middle of the hall, Zhoubu was sparring with an imposing young man. Both of them were using swords. Cold light flashed like stars in the sky. Frost Jade Dew was watching from the side. There were 7 or 8 experts behind her, and all of them had serious expressions on their faces. The world is calm. The autumn wind is bleak. The winter snow is endless. The spring is in full bloom. The summer thunder breaks through the mountains. There are 10 days in the sky. The mountains and rivers are scorched. Suddenly, the sword in Zhoubu's hand exploded with boundless light. The young man retreated, but Zhoubu stabbed his wrist, causing his sword to fall to the ground. Zhoubu's attack had succeeded, and he immediately retreated. He sheathed his sword and stood upright, saying, "Sorry for the offense." The young man picked up his sword and looked like he was about to pounce forward, but Frost Jade Dew stopped him. "Little K, you are not his opponent. Stand down." "Master, that young man is one of the best of the younger generation in Bayou Nation. His name is UK, and he broke through to the Dao realm a while ago. He is very strong," Zhoubu explained from behind Gu Chunsha. "Your Highness, you actually came back." Frost Jade Dew saw Gu Chunsha walk over and immediately stood up in shock. "I didn't expect your Highness' subordinates to be so strong. Little K is a genius of the royal family, and he's been taught sword techniques by an immortal in the Eastern Wastelands since he was young. But he still lost to your Highness' subordinates. I have lost this bet." "What bet?" Gu Chunsha asked. "Your Highness, I took the liberty of making a bet with Brother U Quebec. If Brother UK wins, they will be allowed to stay in this castle. If I win, they will give me 10 pieces of top-quality jade." Zhoubu knelt down on one knee. "Please forgive me, your Highness." "What crime?" Gu Chunsha helped him up. "You are the Minister of Guards of my mansion, but you have the right to handle such defense. Your martial arts have improved well, but there are still many flaws. I will point them out to you when the time comes." "Yes." Zhoubu got up, retreated to the side, and didn't move. "Lu Yu, take these guests and treat them well. I have something to talk to Lady Frost Jade about." Gu Chunsha waved his hand. "Please, I have prepared a top-class banquet," Lu Yu said to the people behind Frost Jade Dew. The people behind Frost Jade Dew were all members of the royal family, but they all followed her lead and listened to her. "Go ahead, I want to talk to your Highness too." Frost Jade Dew spoke, and only then did they move, following Lu Yu to the banquet. Gu Chunsha saw this and knew that Frost Jade Dew had a very high status in the royal family of Bayou Nation. "Your Highness, it seems like your methods are far beyond my imagination. Yin has completely submitted to you and is dead set on you. I know that Yiyun has a strong character and never submits to anyone. To be able to gain her trust, you must be extraordinary." Frost Jade Dew looked around. As for this mansion, although it has the layout of the black tortoise emerging from the sea, I can clearly feel that my body and mind are relaxed when I live in it. The aura here is rich, as if there is a peerless artifact suppressing the entire castle. This place is almost comparable to the layout of our Bayou Nation's palace. My guards and attendants number in the thousands, and they live in the market outside the castle. Although the houses are big and spacious, it is inconvenient to do things there, and there is no peace for cultivation. I hope that your Highness can draw a piece of land in the castle for us to live in. I see that your Highness' castle is big, but it is empty and lacks people. This castle can accommodate tens of thousands of people at most, and it is more than enough to accommodate the thousands of people we have. That is not a problem." Gu Chunsha thought for a while. "Later, I will arrange for a piece of land for you. However, you will announce to the public that if you are a vassal of the royal family, I will pay for your food and lodging. I can pay for your food and lodging. How about it? Are you asking me to completely submit to you? Yuhan Lu seemed to have expected this request from Gu Qinsha. It was just a show for the outside world. Gu Qinsha said, "Of course, I also want you to completely submit to me. However, everyone has their own ambitions, and I cannot force you. You want to live in my castle not because it is convenient for you to practice martial arts. I am afraid that if there are internal problems in Baoyu Nation, you will not be able to protect them. Thus, you came here to hide for a while. It seems that nothing can be hidden from you. Did Yuyun tell you this?" Yuhan Lu asked. Long Yuyun did not say anything about this. But even if you use your brain, you can guess that the Baoyu Nation's court is divided into those who want to recruit and those who want to resist. You want to recruit, and the Baoyu Nation's crown prince wants to fight against the court. If you had the upper hand, the recruitment would not have been done by me. It would have been done by the other princes. Gu Qinsha did not need any information to analyze the situation, so you can still control the situation. Recently, the Crown Prince's faction must have received some powerful reinforcements and forced you out. That's right, I am a straightforward person. Recently, the Eastern Baron Immortals came to support the Crown Prince. I have no choice but to hide. Yuhan Lu spoke the truth. The legendary immortal sects are also interfering in the affairs of the mortal world and even going against the court. Gu Qinsha frowned. Right now, Imperial Father is about to succeed in suppressing the barbarian god. Not only are they not coming to help, but they even want to cause trouble. Are they the immortal path or the demonic path? They are all lofty and lofty immortal sects, viewing us mortals as ants. If we don't do things according to their wishes, they would say that we are devils. In their eyes, the heavenly talisman Immortal Emperor is the greatest devil that defied the heavens. Yuhan Lu spoke the truth. Before the Heavenly Talisman Dynasty, those immortal sects recruited disciples in the various countries, creating their own sects and messing up the laws. Everything was not decided by the court, but by these immortals. But now, things are different. The Heavenly Talisman Dynasty has wiped them out, upholding the law and upholding the morals, causing them to lose control of the mortal world. Naturally, they think that this is treason. Without the weakness and ignorance of the mortals, how can they show off the greatness of the immortal Tao? Well said. Gu Qinsha clapped his hands. The people of the world say that the immortal Tao is good, but in truth, it is because of the ignorance and suffering of the mortals. When immortals break away from this, the immortal Tao has nothing to brag about. What the Heavenly Talisman Emperor is doing now is enlightening the people and relieving their suffering. Naturally, this poses a great threat to the immortal Tao, and at the same time, he is the enemy of the demonic Tao. Yuhan Lu said, "I agree with the Heavenly Talisman Emperor's politics. This is also the reason why I want to recruit him. We can talk about this in the future. Can you agree to my conditions?" Gu Qinsha asked. "Yes, but there is no need for food and lodging. We will arrange everything ourselves, and we will also pay the rent. My men can join the army, and I can become a guest elder. How about it?" Yuhan Lu's conditions were very loose. Chapter 108. The Great Study Room. Many high-ranking officials were sorting out the memorials that were piled up like a mountain. After sorting them, they picked out the important ones and presented them to the Emperor of Heavenly Talisman. Ever since the war with the barbarians began, the imperial court had a lot of work to do. The allocation of troops, the arrangement of provisions, the appointment and dismissal of officials, the recording of contributions, the supervision of the people, the transportation of rivers and seas, etc. The Great Study Room was the heart of the empire. The empire would not stagnate if it was constantly running. Lu Chongxiao's cultivation level was profound. He could work nonstop for a year without a problem. He was agile and fast. He finished reading a memorial in one glance. Sometimes, he even read dozens of them at the same time. The memorials beside him seemed to be flipped and sorted by invisible hands. He was using his innate gangqi to increase his efficiency. Moreover, the classification of dozens and even hundreds of memorials showed his ability to multitask. He was no longer a human, but a huge computing machine. Because of him, there was no backlog of memorials. He alone was more efficient than hundreds of people. Of course, the others were not slow either. Those who were able to enter the great study room as officials were not ordinary people. Ordinary scholars could not control the imperial court with their knowledge alone. They had to be skilled in both literature and martial arts. They had to understand the heavenly Tao and have great wisdom. Even Zhu Xia and Minister One, who were the most senior scholars in the upper study room, were not only world-famous scholars, but their cultivation was also unfathomable. However, they paid particular attention to educating the world through literature. They would not reveal their supernatural powers unless it was a critical moment. Since ancient times, the scholars traveled the world with their swords. They recommended their political views and ideals to the other countries. If they were not capable, they would have been killed by bandits, beasts, and soldiers. However, Lu Chongxiao was not the fastest. The young official, Fong Lin, was the fastest. Fong Lin did not read any of the memorials at all. Instead, he sorted them out in an orderly manner. It was as if he could see through the contents of the memorials. He was born in a poor family. A few years ago, he became the top scholar and was trained by the emperor. He was promoted one after another. I didn't expect him to be so powerful. Even though I can use my soul tentacles to look through the memorials, it takes a lot of energy. I didn't expect him to be able to do it so easily. He's in his early 30s. No prince can compare to him. I don't know how he did it. Lu Chongxiao was shocked. However, Fong Lin was an unparalleled genius who had been selected from the billions of citizens through various elections and examinations. It was normal for him to be stronger than a prince. Throughout the dynasties, there had been ministers who had left their names in the annals of history, but there were rarely any princes. In fact, for a long time, the princes had been pampered like princes, useless and stupid pigs. Tao Realm 10 transformations, 1 heart 1,000 things. Tao Realm 11 transformations, soul tentacles. His own soul spread out like tentacles in all directions. He could see through everything and nothing could stop him. This was the power of God. Blood power, energy power, divine power. After cultivating the Tao Realm 9 transformation glass jade, he would focus on spirit refinement and energy refinement as support. When one reached a certain level in spirit refinement, one could even project one's primordial spirit out of one's body and reincarnate in another's body. As for the brute strength of one's flesh and blood, the means of innate stellar energy were far behind. After a long while, Lu Chongxiao arranged thousands of documents and wrote an outline. Only then did he take a deep breath and look at the Heaven Talisman Emperor who was sitting behind the dragon throne. The Heaven Talisman Emperor was also writing and reading. He was really slow and didn't show any abilities. Who knows whether or not the true God Emperor has suppressed many evil gods. Lu Chongxiao knew that the emperor in front of him was just an incarnation. However, he still had unlimited abilities and could suppress everything. Dang, dang, dang. He meditated 12 times on the clock in the reading room. The Heaven Talisman Emperor raised his head. At 12, all of you have been working day and night, so you must be tired. Gao Ling, bring each of you a bowl of flying celestial tea. Yes. In the blink of an eye, Gao Ling led the eunuchs to bring a bowl of tea to the officials. The tea was really ordinary, and the tea was amber in color. There was no fragrance at all, but the officials knew that the Heaven Talisman Emperor's reward wasn't ordinary. Moreover, since the emperor gave it to them, they didn't dare to reject it. Even if it was poison, they had to drink it. Immediately, all the ministers drank it. As soon as it entered their mouths, it immediately dispersed. They felt as if they were floating in the air. All the impurities in their hearts and minds were washed clean. Their fatigue was completely gone, as if they had been reborn. Not to mention that their spirits were greatly boosted. They felt as if they had become ethereal and mysterious. The messy affairs of the country and the disputes of human affairs all became clear. Thank you. Emperor, for your reward. All the officials knelt down to thank him. Get up, the Heaven Talisman Emperor said. All of you have high cultivations and don't care about the few days of hard work. If you don't have the ability, you won't be able to enter this reading room. This is the center of the world, and if it isn't running smoothly, the world will be in trouble. All of you have heavy responsibilities and can't neglect them. We don't dare. The officials all sat up. This flying immortal soup is something I obtained when I was young in the number 1 sect of the immortal Tao, the Black Heaven Earth Gate. The Heaven Talisman Emperor recalled, cultivators are most afraid of the mortal world. But to temper one's heart, one must go to the mortal world to temper oneself. Those who have been tempered for a long time will inevitably be misled by the mortal world. When they return to the sect, they will drink this flying immortal soup to cleanse themselves of the mortal world. You and I have been rolling around in the mortal world, working hard day and night to manage the affairs of the country. As time passes, our Tao hearts will inevitably be affected by karma. Your Majesty, those immortal cultivators come from a mortal world and have separated themselves from it. However, they look down on the common people and think that they are superior to them. However, they want the people of the mortal world to worship them. They're always thinking about how to abuse their power. They are actually hypocrites. Zhu Xia, the great scholar, stood up and reported, I think that they should also respect the law and be honest. I will do this sooner or later. The immortal Tao emphasizes freedom, but in fact, it means breaking away from the law. The Heaven Talisman Emperor nodded. The immortal Tao originates from the mortal world, but in the end, it will return to the mortal world. Once one transcends, one must lead the people in the world to transcend as well. Let's not talk about all this. Let's talk about serious matters. If it isn't a huge matter, you can deal with it yourself. But if it concerns the fate of the country, then I will have to decide it myself. My eyesight isn't good enough. Lu Chongxiao stood up and said, the most important thing right now is for the princes to come out of seclusion for war. In these 2 months, all the princes have conquered their fiefdoms. Among them, the 19th prince has caught up. He has completed the construction of his fiefdom and even paved the roads. Now, he's going to start trading. This is his memorial. He then presented Gu Chench's memorial. Little 19th's words are getting more and more majestic. The Heaven Talisman Emperor looked at Gu Chench's report. The words were really strong and majestic. He couldn't help but laugh. He even said how he subdued the barbarian race god envoy. He said that those people wanted to use the heartless stealing talisman to control him, but he managed to snatch the talisman and control the Tao realm 7 transformation god envoy. Such quick-wittedness, using the weak to defeat the strong, is really interesting. Fong Lin also stood up and reported, the 19th prince does indeed seem to be soaring into the sky. He has also subdued the people of Dragon Sword Island and brought them all under his command. In addition, Frostjade Country's Jade Frost Dew has also brought people to join him. They have already set up camp in his fiefdom. He had news regarding Gu Qinsha. At this moment, a few eunuchs knelt at the door and held a box in their hands. Gao Ling stealthily walked over and inquired. She picked up the box and placed it on the table of the Heavenly Talisman Emperor. Your Majesty, these are the spoils of war that His Highness obtained from the war against the barbarians. Oh, the Heaven Talisman Emperor laughed. Little 19 has such intentions? My sons hide the good stuff and expand their own strength. How can they be so filial? Emperor, the princes are all filial. They are all loyal, and fighting against the barbarian race is a sign of filial piety. Lu Chongxiao said. The Heaven Talisman Emperor opened the box, and a golden bottle appeared within. The bottle gave off a 7-colored light. 7 Saint Heart refining pill. The few officials stood up. They were all knowledgeable and were all dragons and phoenixes amongst men. How could they not see the light? Little 19's gift is really precious. The Heaven Talisman Emperor closed the box. This pill contains the ancient human 7 Saint Tao and is useless to me. Gao Ling, spread my decree to give little 19 a death exemption talisman. Yes, Gao Ling hurried down. The officials looked at one another and were shocked. The death exemption talisman had two uses. One was that no matter how big a crime one committed, one could avoid death once. Other than that, it was also a supreme treasure. No matter how dangerous the situation was, the talisman could be used to ensure one's safety. Even gods wouldn't be able to harm it. This talisman was personally written by the Heaven Talisman Emperor and contained an unparalleled power. Up until now, no prince had ever obtained a death exemption talisman. All right, continue reporting. We can talk about the princes later. I know what to do about the war in the desolate mountains. The Heaven Talisman Emperor said, "What I'm concerned about now is the construction of new academies in the various provinces. Your Majesty, the various provinces have already started constructing the new academies. This is the blueprint of the new academies. Regardless of whether they are from the poor or the rich, as long as they are 7 years old and above, regardless of gender, they can choose to enroll in the new academies. There will be all sorts of courses in the academies. Literature and martial arts will be the main focus, with astronomy, geography, law, feng shui, morality, and engineering as support. First, the academies will be popularized in the provinces, then the prefectures, and finally the counties. Every county must have a new academy, and each academy must be able to accommodate thousands of students. Moreover, the imperial court will be responsible for the students' food and lodging. The imperial court will also subsidize the academies." Minister Wen reported excitedly, "Your Majesty is wise. This move is to open up the world to wisdom. There will be no one in the past and no one in the future. However, many of the officials said that the finances are tight and there are many difficulties. Now that the rich areas have been constructed, some of the barren areas are hard to sustain. This is a matter of great importance to the nation. You must not neglect it." The Heaven Talisman Emperor said, "I know that this will cost a lot of money. That's why we started the war against the barbarians. Now that the trade at the border has increased by 100 times and the tax revenue is abundant, this must be done. Otherwise, it will be more difficult in the future. Your Majesty, this is a heavy burden for the imperial court. Can we subsidize the academy fees?" Lu Chongshao suggested. Chapter 109. You are right about this. The Heavenly Talisman Emperor nodded in agreement. That's why I've set this as a 100-year plan. However, you're worrying too much when you say that it will drag down the imperial court. I will definitely have a plan this year. Right now, every region has a good harvest every year and the stored rations are starting to accumulate. Some of the storage rooms have already started to rot and rot. Everyone has food to eat, but what about the surplus? Other than that, the Heavenly Designer Institute has already developed a type of fertilizer called spirit fertilizer. At that time, even the most barren lands will be able to produce several times more food. With so much stored up, wouldn't it be a waste if they didn't circulate it? In addition, those academies aren't just for studying and practicing martial arts. They will also conduct all sorts of research, forming a Heavenly Designer Institute. In addition, the students can supervise the government and form public opinion. They can also write a letter to express their opinions on matters of injustice and administrative affairs that are not handled properly. Not only that, they can also restrain the illegal activities of the rich and powerful. This is a mutual balance. Wherever there is a dense population, there will definitely be business opportunities. Although the academy does not accept money or food from the students, it can also do business on its own. The business path is the foundation of circulation, so is not a disgrace to the culture. Of course, these specific administrative affairs can be handed over to the subordinates. This is truly a huge change. The ministers could already see the determination of the Heavenly Talisman Emperor, especially the fact that both boys and girls could enter the academies. This would definitely cause an uproar among the commoners. Throughout the generations, the commoners valued males and despised females. Originally, the Heavenly Talisman Emperor had already gotten rid of this bad habit several years ago. Now that the academies were being established, the imperial court would provide money and rations. More geniuses would emerge from the female populace. Also, I have prepared a national policy for the next 10 years. All commoners above the age of 60 will be able to receive rations from the imperial court every season. At the same time, they will be able to seek medical treatment for free and be supported by the country. What does everyone think? The heavenly talisman emperor continued. As the ancient sages said, the young will be taught, the old will be taken care of, the world will be unified. This is my goal. Your Majesty, this is truly benevolence spreading throughout the world. The Prime Minister and Zhu Xia both trembled. They were all great Confucians, seeking to rule the world. Upon hearing this decree, they all knelt down. This subject thanks your Majesty on behalf of the commoners. The world has suffered since ancient times. The commoners have suffered many hardships. The heavenly talisman great monarch sighed. First, I will use my iron fist to eradicate the darkness in the world, sweeping away the evils in the universe. After that, I will seek for the good of the people, teaching them to be strong and independent, restoring order to the world. In time, the people of the world will understand my painstaking efforts. Your Majesty, we swear to fulfill this wish with our lives. Lu Chongxiao and all the officials said at the same time. Esteemed guests, a few days ago, the Heavenly Designer Institute built a railway outside the capital and tested out the steel carriages. What do you think? The Heavenly Talisman Immortal Emperor asked. Your subject has gone to take a look. Feng Lin said, however, for this carriage to operate, it must be paved with steel. This is too extravagant. If it were to be paved everywhere, the imperial court would not be able to find enough steel. Then let's open up the mines. This matter will be handed over to the Heavenly Craftsman Institute. In the past 10 years or so, the population of the nation has been extremely large. If we don't create more industries, people will have nothing to do. Heavenly Talisman Emperor. Smelting steel is also a part of the Academy's curriculum. When I opened the Academy, I wanted to learn from the material, not from poetry. Everyone, listen carefully. This year, I want to build the railway from the capital to the border to facilitate the transportation of resources and the movement of the people. After that, I will build a railway all over the country. Your Majesty, this matter is important and concerns the people's livelihood. Your subjects will do their best to complete this task. Lu Chongxiao's heart was on high alert. He knew the significance of this task was no less than building the canal and the Great Wall. This was something the Heavenly Talisman Emperor had to do. Everything I do is to move the people of the nation. The nation is a body, and the people are the blood and essence of the body. The faster the blood and essence circulates, the stronger the body. If the blood and essence doesn't circulate, the body will die. The Heavenly Talisman Emperor said, you must remember this when you govern. Yes, this year's spring examinations are about to begin. How are the ships transporting the students coming and going? The Heavenly Talisman Emperor asked. The topic of this year's spring examinations is to pacify the barbarians. Let's see what these students can come up with. Replying to your Majesty, everything is ready. Then let us discuss the customs and governance. The Heavenly Talisman Emperor said, in the desolate lands, Monarch Chen's fief. Bang! The two of them split apart, their palms striking the ground like hammers. However, the ground wasn't damaged at all, showing how strong the castle was. King's fist energy is actually so strong, able to fight against me. Cold Jade was astonished. My realm is 4 transformations higher than King's. As long as it is a physical fight, I can easily resolve it. Guqinsha was really calm. He spread his palms apart and used the Great Spirit God fist. However, I know that you showed mercy. If we really fought, I wouldn't be your match. With my current cultivation, I can at most fight evenly with a cultivator at the 4th transformation. Cold Jade's cultivation was really strong, and she was an expert at the 5th transformation. Facing such a person, Gu Chunsha naturally wouldn't let her off. He would often find her to spar. That day, Gu Chunsha was still a grandmaster and comprehended the sun and moon transformation. He was able to cause the Blood Soul sect leader, who was at the 2nd transformation, to sweat profusely. Now, he was at the first transformation and was comprehending the sun and moon dragon. Apart from that, he had many fortuitous encounters, and his cultivation was much higher than before. He was actually able to fight evenly with Cold Jade. Cold Jade was originally at the fourth transformation, but after she obtained Guchinch's Heaven Dew, she improved by leaps and bounds and stepped into the fifth transformation. She started to absorb spiritual energy and gather it in her body. She compressed it, converted it, and squeezed it. In the end, she gave birth to Sciention Earth energy and broke away from the range of physical strength. To be able to fight someone at the fourth transformation at the first transformation, Your Highness martial arts are unparalleled. Cold Jade was actually shocked. When she clashed with Guchin, his fists and legs were really heavy, and each movement gave her the feeling of a giant mountain crushing down on her. His fist strength had exceeded the 9 bulls and 2 tigers, but he was still at the first transformation and hadn't reached the level where his entire body was covered in energy. He was only at the first transformation, and his fist strength was already so strong. So how strong would he be when he reached the second transformation? Guchin had gained a lot from training with an expert like Cold Jade. He roughly understood his own combat strength. Without relying on the demon, descending blade, and great dragon armor, he could fight against a cultivator at the fourth transformation with his bare fists. If the other party couldn't kill him, then it would be hard for him to kill the other party. He was quite satisfied with such an achievement. One must know that each time the realm advanced, one's combat strength would be much stronger, and it would be hard to break through the suppression of the realm. After he cultivated the Sun-Moon Dragon, he needed a huge amount of spiritual energy. Luckily, he had enough Heaven Dew, which allowed his cultivation to soar. Slowly, the blood in his body became thicker, and his muscles, bones, and skin started to change. He estimated that in less than a year, his energy would reach the 100 bones. When he breathed, spiritual energy would flow around his body, and his limbs would be filled with strength. He would reach the second transformation of the Tao realm. Logically speaking, the stronger the technique, the harder it would be to cultivate it. If he cultivated the Great Spirit God technique and had so much Heaven Dew to support him, he would have broken through to the third or fourth transformation long ago. The decree is here, Prince Chun. Receive it. The two of them were about to speak when a voice spread in from outside. Guchin rushed out and saw a few eunuchs holding the decree. He knelt on the ground to receive it. Little 19, I accept your filial piety. You have done well recently, so I will give you a death exemption talisman. The decree was as simple as ever. Prince, this is the first time the Emperor has given you a death exemption talisman. The head eunuch smiled. It seems like the Emperor really dotes on you. Thank you, eunuch, for rushing over from so far away. Guchin told his godson to hand over the gift. It's not hard on us. Your Highness's fief already leads into the pass. The road is smooth, and the ground is made of stone and mud. There isn't even the slightest bit of mud. There are also relay stations on both sides of the road. Along the way, you can enjoy the scenery of the wilderness. The eunuch accepted the gift and smiled, but I will have to leave right after the decree is passed. I can't stay for long, otherwise, I would really like to enjoy the scenery. Then take care, eunuch. I have a few good barbarian horses for eunuch. Guchin nodded his head and looked on as they left. He then saw a jade talisman beside the decree. The jade talisman was half a foot long, and on it were 2 words, Death Exemption Talisman. It seemed like it was carved deep into the jade and formed natural patterns. The 2 words shook the heavens and reversed life and death. It was domineering. If I don't let you die, no one can. Congratulations. Cold Jade was taken aback. This talisman was personally written by the Heavenly Talisman Emperor himself. Not only is it a protective talisman of the Imperial Court, it can also be used to exempt one from the death penalty. In fact, if one were to encounter a powerful enemy, one could activate this talisman and transform it into the might of the Heavenly Talisman Emperor. Even gods wouldn't be able to do anything to him. Back then, when Marquis Dusher was constructing the Great Stone Wall, an evil god came to kill him. He also had this talisman and managed to expel the evil god. Impossible. Even a god can't do anything to it. With Gu Chinch's current cultivation, he wasn't even an ant compared to a real god. Does Imperial Father think so highly of me? If that's the case, this talisman is worth far more than the 7 Sacred Heart pill. Chapter 110. However, as Gu Chansha looked at the talisman again and again, he had a lot of doubts in his heart. Ever since he performed outstandingly in the Nanshan hunt, it could be said that he had received endless royal favor. He was first conferred the title of State Duke, then promoted to the title of Jun Wang, and even given the power to recruit Bayunation. Now, he was even bestowed with the Death Exemption Talisman. With this talisman, the princes in the court would have to think twice before attacking him. Even if the first prince found out that he had stolen the evil god's flesh and blood, he would not be able to do anything to him. Why his father's attitude towards me changed so much? Gu Chansha recalled in his heart, I've been neglected since I was young, and he never cared about me. Could it be that he really wanted to train me? I think I've been through this since I was young. I pretended to be crazy, but I couldn't develop a firm and deep character. Originally, I didn't have a good impression of him, but after I came out and saw the changes in the people's lives, the canal, and the Great Wall, I knew that he really had great merit for the world, so any hatred I had for him disappeared. Ever since Gu Chansha started cultivating the Son of Heaven's investiture art, he had been diligently reading all sorts of books. Gradually, he had developed a righteous spirit and placed the people of the world above all else. With this change in mindset, one's horizons were broadened, and one's heart became magnanimous. Heaven and earth existed forever, and one comprehended the state of sun and moon shining together. The sun and moon hung in the sky, illuminating the ages and nurturing the common people. If one's heart was selfish and did not care about the world, one would not be able to comprehend the various profundities of the Son of Heaven's God-conferring art. He wrapped the Death Immunity Talisman in the great dragon armor, but he didn't dare to place it in the space of the Sun-Moon altar. After all, the talisman contained the Heavenly Talisman Emperor's boundless God force. If he placed it in the Sun-Moon altar, he was afraid that it would clash with the Heavenly Talisman Emperor's God force. Who knew if the Sun-Moon altar could suppress this talisman? The Heavenly Talisman Immortal Sovereign used his own strength to suppress the gods of both the righteous and evil paths. This was something that not even the heavenly sons of ancient times were able to do. Gu Chinch's cultivation base was now high, and he had read many ancient texts. He already knew many things about the ancient gods. According to the Heavenly Talisman Emperor's current cultivation level, none of the ancient heavenly sons could compare to him. Your Highness is really proud of your success this time. Cole Jadu was also quite happy. She had made up her mind to rely on Gu Chansha. Now that he had been bestowed with the Death Exemption Talisman, his authority in the imperial court was even stronger, and his words had greater weight. There was really some progress in the matter of enlisting him. Initially, she did not think highly of Gu Chansha. However, now it seemed that there was hope for him to bring peace and prosperity to the nearly 100 million people of Bayunation. I can't say that I'm flushed with success, but I'm in a better situation than before. What does Imperial Father mean by that? It's still worth thinking about. Gu Chansha was neither happy nor sad. They're all external things. My own strength is still the foundation. Come, use your full strength. Let me see how many moves you can take. You really are a martial arts fanatic, but this is also in line with my intentions. Frost Jade Du's body swayed and actually brought out dozens of afterimages. It was impossible to tell which one was real and which one was fake. Furthermore, there was no wind as she moved. Whether it was a ghost, this was her true trump card. Gu Chansha opened his hands and spread them outwards. Like a god with 1,000 arms, he was actually able to defend from all directions and receive all of Frost Jade Du's attacks. However, every attack from the opponent sent a ball of extremely strong chi into his body, shaking his internal organs to the point where they almost flipped over. You can actually receive this move of mine? Frost Jade Du retracted her palms and stood there with a look of surprise on her face. I used 90% of my strength in this move. It's called the Tai Flying Phantom Kill. Guchensh's face was deathly pale. The blood and chi in his body were in a mess. He actually couldn't speak, and his eyes were seeing stars. After a full 10 breaths of time, he circulated the sun and moon refining art to calm his injured organs. This move is really powerful. If you had taken the opportunity to attack just now, you would have already taken my life. Gu Qinsha was beaten dizzy. He knew how powerful it was. Although the move just now was not as good as the sun and moon killing art, it was similar. He didn't know what kind of secret art it was. This move is a killing art left behind by the Tai mystical sect, ranked second in the ancient 72 immortal Daos. The ancestors of my Baoyu nation were disciples of the Tai mystical sect. However, we lost contact with them a long time ago and left the sect. However, this move was passed down from our ancestors. Unfortunately, no one has been able to practice it and understand the concept within it. Only I, by chance, managed to understand the variations of this move and was able to use it. Although Imperial Uncle Yu Ba had a fortuitous encounter and cultivated the Xiantian Gang Qi, he still couldn't understand this move. Frost Jade Du said, "But I'm not strong enough. If I cultivate the Xiantian Gang Qi, then the true power of this move will be revealed." The ancient 72 immortal Daos. Gu Qinsha said, "I've seen the history of the immortal Daos in the Heavenly Talisman Tome. The first ranked is the Heaven and Earth mystical sect. With the Heaven and Earth as the teacher, they operate the Xianpin Gate. Since ancient times, they have been the leader of all immortals. Rumor has it that when the emperor was young, he also entered this immortal sect to learn. I wonder if it's true or not." "It's true." Frost Jade Du nodded. "The Heavenly Talisman Emperor was once the most outstanding genius of the Heaven and Earth mystical sect. Unfortunately, the young sect master of the Heaven and Earth mystical sect was jealous of his talent. He said that the Heavenly Talisman Emperor had hooked up with the demonic peacock and entered the demonic Tao. He wanted to execute the Heavenly Talisman Emperor, but he single-handedly challenged the 72 immortal sects and sealed the entire Heaven and Earth mystical sect for 3 whole years. The ancient 72 immortal Daos were humiliated, but they couldn't do anything to him. In the end, the young sect master was killed by him." "Where did you hear this secret?" Gu Chunsha said in shock. "Seems like your Baoyu nation has deep connections with the immortal Daos." "It's not like you said there's no connection at all. Baoyu nation produces jade, which is a necessity for the immortal Daos. We do have deep connections with some immortal Daos sections." Frost Jade Du said, "Far away from the sea, one of the 72 sects, the innate infinity celestial sect, often comes here to purchase jade. But this sect was uprooted by the Heavenly Talisman Emperor. It's been exterminated, but I do know that there's still an elder left. His name is Jin Shi. He's under the 7th prince, secretly working under him. His divine might is truly unparalleled. Who in the world can stand against him?" Gu Chunsha sighed. "The land of infinity, the ancient gods, the immortals. Is there anyone who can stand against him?" "Not at the moment." Frost Jade's eyes were full of admiration. "That's why I'm quite envious of Lu Baiwei. She actually obtained the emperor's favor. If there's a day, I'd like to have an audience with the emperor. I'd like to see the person who can make the immortals bow their heads and the gods fear him. I'd like to see what kind of person can write the poem 'The Bright Moon Rises from the Sea and the Distant Lands Share This Moment' looks like. I like the poem 'The Rolling Waters of the Yangtze River Flows Eastward,'" Gu Chunsha said. "This poem really speaks of the rise and fall of 1,000 years, all in a pot of muddy wine. Then what about 'I hope that people live long and the beauty of 1,000 miles together'?" Frost Jade Du savored the Heavenly Talisman Emperor's poem. "They're all peerless lines," Gu Qinsha said. "The poem has reached the peak. I'm afraid it's unprecedented, and it won't be repeated in the future. You're now in the Emperor's favor. If there's a chance, you must let me see the Emperor." Frost Jade Du was about to discuss the poem when Jiao Yang came in. He held his sword and reported, There's a woman who wants to see the prince. A woman? Gu Qinsha asked. Did she say what her name is? She said her surname is Chun. Zhao Yang said. Chun? Gu Qinsha immediately thought of the Xian dynasty's royal family's legacy. Last time, he stole the heartless seizing talisman. It was his aunt, Chun Lingyun. Could it be that she came looking for him? Invite her in. Yes. Zhao Yang flew out. Not long after, he returned with a woman. This woman was elegant, and her clothes fluttered in the wind. If it wasn't Chun Lingyun, who could it be? Aunt, you're here. Please take a seat. Gu Qinsha hurriedly called out, as if the theft of the faithless mind-capturing talisman did not happen that day. Little godson, brew a bowl of drunken cloud cold plum tea that I bought and serve it to them. Use an exquisite green bowl. The drunken cloud cold plum tea was bought from Frost Jade Dew. The exquisite emerald bowl was also an extremely extravagant jadeware. It was also bought together. Now that he was a prince and had a fief, there were some high-ranking officials that he had to entertain. This was something that couldn't be helped. He had to maintain his dignity. Forget it. I'm not here to drink tea, thief. Chun Lingyun's expression was very ugly. She scolded him the moment she saw him. You're very good. You stole my heartless, seizing talisman and used it to subdue the oracles of the barbarian tribe. This move of borrowing strength to fight strength is really ingenious. Not at all. Aunt wanted to use this talisman to control me. I could only fight with my life on the line. Gu Qinsha sat down and motioned for Chun Lingyun to sit as well. This is all in the past. May I know why Aunt is looking for me today? The construction of your fief is not bad. When I came in, I felt a strong power. The layout of the black tortoise emerging from the sea is suppressed by a peerless talisman. Other than that, there are many traps aimed at me. If I move randomly, I'm afraid there will be cannons and countless fire talisman spears waiting for me. Chun Lingyun looked around. This castle has both offense and defense. There are also experts guarding it. Even I don't dare to act rashly. The construction of the Institute of Heavenly Craftsmen is certainly not ordinary. Gu Qinsha was not in a hurry. Frost Jade Dew sat down and looked at this pair of relatives with a smile. You should return the sorcery-breaking sword to me. Chun Lingyun went straight to the point. You can't activate this sword at all. I gave this sword to a senior. After he forged it for me, he could erase the imprint of Grand Preceptor Wenhong. Gu Qinsha played a trick. The imprint of the sorcery-breaking sword seems to have been erased by Old Seven. It seems that there are experts in legalism who surpass Wenhong. I asked, whose side are you on? Chun Lingyun did not sit down. She waved her sleeves. Although you are the son of Heavenly Talisman, you are also of the Chun family's bloodline. Don't you want to avenge your mother? It was Heavenly Talisman who killed my sister. I will investigate this matter. Gu Qinsha's expression became complicated. As for your question about which side I am on, it is actually very easy to answer. He who wins the hearts of the people will win the world. Why ask me? Moreover, you said that His Majesty killed my mother. I originally believed it, but now I have some doubts. With His Majesty's magical power, there is no need for him to do such a thing. Gu Qinsha had thought about this question many times. When he was young, he only knew that his mother committed suicide because the dynasty was invaded and her family was destroyed. But now that he thought about it carefully, there were many doubts. There was probably more to this matter. The Grand Preceptor has come out of seclusion. Chun Lingyun glanced at the Jade Dew. If you want to know what happened back then, I can bring you to see him. At that time, you will know the truth of your mother's death. I think you should be very concerned about this matter. Of course I care. Where is he? I will go now. Gu Qinsha stood up. Oh, you are so courageous. Chun Lingyun was shocked. I thought you would be afraid. Aren't you afraid that the Grand Preceptor will kill you? His cultivation is profound. If he wants to kill me, I can't stop him. Gu Qinsha was very indifferent. Moreover, I came to this barbarian land to fight against the evil gods. I am not afraid of the evil gods, but I am not afraid of the Grand Preceptor. Very well, then follow me. Chun Lingyun said. As she spoke, she gestured to the sky. Immediately, a golden-winged rock appeared in the sky. But the rock did not come down, as if it was afraid of something. There was an extremely terrifying aura in this castle, which made it instinctively afraid. Chapter 111. He also vaguely knew a lot of information and knew that this Grand Preceptor had an extraordinary relationship with his mother. Since he wanted to see him, then he couldn't hide from him. Why not head over openly and find out the truth? He returned to his bedroom and kept the Xuanwu egg. At the same time, he instructed some subordinates before following Chen Lingyun to the depths of the wilderness. He didn't activate the great dragon armor and rode on the rock. There was no need to waste spirit crystals. He had obtained 15 crystals from the Shadow Priest, but after spending so much, he only had 10 left. Although he had the Sky Dragon Spirit Gathering Flag to gather spirit liquid, it wasn't as useful as spirit crystals. High up in the sky, the golden-winged rock sped through the white clouds. It didn't use much strength to carry the two of them. It spread its wings and caused the air currents to surge. It then glided in the air, displaying its amazing flying skills. This bird has already become a monster. Gu Chansha observed and realized that the bird was actually spitting out large amounts of spiritual energy. It was already a Dao realm, and its feathers were as tough as iron. It felt like it was made of real gold. It wasn't at the first transformation, but the third transformation. It had copper skin and iron bones. The bird's strength was shocking. Even if it didn't cultivate, it could grab cows and horses into the air. After being nurtured by experts, it became even stronger than people of the same realm. After estimating it, Gu Chansha felt that his strength couldn't even compare to this golden-winged rock. Of course, this was normal as it was a primordial world variant monster. You aren't afraid at all. I can toss you down at any moment. Chen Lingyun's tone was threatening. You are so high. Even a Dao realm transformation would die from the fall. The golden-winged rock's back was really wide like a bed. However, when it flew, the wind would howl. If one didn't have some ability, one wouldn't be able to sit still. Luckily, Gu Chench's cultivation was really high. He used the 1,000-kilogram falling technique to stick to it and wasn't affected by the air currents. One had to say that although it looked cool sitting on the back of the rock, it was actually a torture. The air currents were really cold and the wind was really strong. His nose and mouth were filled with wind and a layer of ice formed on his hair. If he was a martial grandmaster, he probably wouldn't be able to take it and would be frozen. He didn't reply to Chen Lingyun. With a thought, the great dragon armor instantly covered his body. Only then did he feel much more comfortable. He sighed inwardly. Even though I've reached the Dao realm, I'm still made of flesh and blood. The astral winds in the sky are really powerful. That armor of yours has amazing transformations. It's a treasure. Chen Lingyun was a little envious. However, if it were to fly, it would probably consume a lot of spiritual energy. Not bad. Gu Chench's entire body felt warm as he circulated his blood and qi to resonate with the great dragon armor. Instantly, strength surged through his limbs. Even the golden-winged rock turned to look at him. He had been using his blood to refine the armor every day. Although it hadn't completely transformed into the king's dragon armor, it was becoming more and more miraculous. When he activated it, it was like an extension of his arm. Weapons and armor are essential for war. I don't dare to be careless. This should also be bestowed upon you by the heavenly talisman emperor. Chen Lingyun took out an elixir and stuffed it into the golden-winged rock's mouth. Her sleeves fluttered in the wind, revealing her profound cultivation. You'll be bought over by these small favors. This armor is something I cultivated myself. Gu Chansha said, Auntie, you definitely know about what happened in the past, so why didn't you tell me? Why did you insist on meeting the Grand Tutor? There are some things that I can't explain. Moreover, the Grand Tutor has an important matter to discuss with you. Chen Lingyun's tone became gentler, but when she thought back to how Gu Chansha stole her talisman, she laughed coldly. I didn't expect you to be so skilled. Gu Taxian's sons aren't ordinary people, but you also miscalculated. As long as the barbarian race god envoy reaches Dao Realm 8 transformation, he will naturally use the Samadhi True Flame to refine the talisman. When the time comes, He will start a massacre in your residence, and you'll be at a loss. Why don't you hand this person to me, and I will bring him back to the Grand Tutor. He will activate his supreme technique to make the barbarian race god envoy yield. How about that? If Annie can think of it, then why can't I? Gu Chensha was really confident, but it gave Chun Ling Yun a mysterious feeling. My cultivation is low, but I have done so many things. Does Annie really think that there is no one behind me? Who is behind you? Chun Ling Yun didn't fully believe him. It definitely isn't the Heaven Talisman Emperor. He wouldn't do such a pointless thing. I really can't think of anyone. Naturally, you will know when the time comes. Gu Chensha pretended to be suspicious. The golden-winged rock flew for 2 to 3 days, and who knew where he was in the wilderness? Suddenly, a large lake appeared in front of him, and numerous islands dotted the lake. They were like stars in the sky. This is a really amazing formation to lay out islands in the lake that are similar to the stars in the sky. Gu Chensha observed. The rock descended quickly towards one of the islands in the lake. The central island was huge, and it was 100 miles wide. Many palaces and houses were built there. There were also fruit trees and farmland. It was like a paradise. The golden-winged rock landed on a high platform in front of the palace. Gu Chensha knew that he had reached his destination. He jumped down from the back of the rock and saw a man in scholarly robes looking at the sky. There were actually stars twinkling in the sky during the day. This man was very young and seemed to be only 20 years old. He had a handsome and resolute face. With a single glance, one could tell that there was no one in the world that could shake his heart. There was nothing he couldn't do. You're here. The man turned around, as expected of the son of Gu Taxian and Spirit Star. Don't be nervous. I just want to see you. I won't harm Spirit Star's son. Greetings, Senior One. Gu Chensha cupped his hands. The great dragon armor on his body shrunk and turned into a belt. This young man was Grand Preceptor Wenhong. He was famous for suppressing the demons, devils, and immortals. He had once propped up the Xian Empire with his own strength. If not for Gu Taxian's sudden appearance, the Xian Empire would have been the one to unify the 100 kingdoms. Wenhong glanced indifferently at the armor and did not take it to heart. Gu Taxian's sons don't have many powerful characters. Gu Fasha, Gu Hongsha, they're all just average. If it weren't for the fact that the Hung clan and the Legalism clan have deep foundations, they would have long since faded into the crowd. Gu Huasha, on the other hand, is deep and has some tricks up his sleeve. Also, that Fong Lin in the imperial court is a powerful character. Gu Chensha was secretly shocked. He could tell that Grand Preceptor Wenhong was a peerless giant who looked down on all the heroes in the world. Someone who could be evaluated by him as deep and has some tricks up his sleeve and powerful character was definitely not ordinary. I wonder what this person thinks of me, Gu Chensha thought. As for you, you do have some tricks up your sleeves. Wenhong continued, however, you haven't matured yet. It's just a small matter. When you encounter a true expert, any accumulation is useless. Thank you for your guidance, Grand Preceptor, but there's nothing I can do. It's already not easy for me to reach this stage after painstaking efforts. Gu Chensha's foundation was too weak. He believed that even if he started all over again, he might not be able to do better. Back then, Gu Taxian was your age. He had already appeared out of nowhere and became one of the top figures of the younger generation in the Immortal Tao. His foundation was much weaker than yours. Wenhong looked at Gu Chensha again. Of course, this person is a freak that has never appeared since ancient times. Even the ancient saints can't compare to him. Grand Preceptor, what happened to my mother back then? Can you tell me in detail? This was what Gu Chensha was most concerned about. Otherwise, he wouldn't have endured the cold wind on the golden-winged rock for 2 or 3 days and risked great danger to come to the depths of the wilderness. Back then, Spirit Star and I went to the Myriad Star Mystic sect together to learn. We were all on the orthodox path, and we got to know Gu Taxian of the Black Heaven Earth sect. We slayed demons and went on adventures together. At that time, we talked about everything and were very good friends. He was a sentimental person. When we traveled the world of mortals together, He would shed tears of sadness when he saw his wife being separated, his family broken up, his old age left with no one to take care of. When he saw a happy reunion, he would also cry tears of joy. He even saw a doe being eaten by a wolf and a fawn crying piteously for food. At that time, Spirit Star and I often teased him, saying that he was so weak and fragile. Why would he still want to cultivate? We cultivators pay particular attention to being ethereal and transcendent. All joy, love, and hate in the mortal world are but fleeting clouds, dreams, and bubbles. How could there be someone like him? Wenhong's voice was slow as he reminisced, but he just had to be so strong. His cultivation speed was inconceivably fast, and he almost had no bottlenecks. He could learn any technique the moment he learned it. At that time, Xian Chao was strong, Yanko was weak, and Gu Taxian wasn't fighting for the throne. That was until something happened. What? Gu Qinsha didn't expect the heavenly talisman emperor to be so sentimental. But from the way he governed, it was true that he cared about the people of the world. He didn't think that he was high and mighty and viewed the masses as ants. That was the invasion of the barbarian race. Wenhong continued. Xian Prefecture and the barbarian race share a border. Every time the barbarian race invaded, it was a disaster for us. Gu Qinsha recalled the cruelty of the barbarian race. Regardless of whether they were male or female, old or young, they would all be sacrificed to the barbarian race. If they didn't have the Great Stone Wall, he wouldn't know how they would be able to defend against the barbarian race. Even so, he didn't interrupt, choosing to listen quietly. But our Xian Chao also had the protection of the Great Spirit God. It's just that there were too many barbarian gods and demons. The Great Spirit God was exhausted from supporting them. Wenhong stared at the sky, as though he was searching for the location of the Great Spirit God's divine kingdom. But that time, the barbarian race didn't attack us. Instead, they proposed a condition. They wanted us to send a princess to the barbarian emperor every 3 years, and they also wanted 3,000 young boys and girls as dowries. We absolutely couldn't agree to that. The killing intent in Gu Qinsha's eyes deepened. Chapter 112. He stood in the position of the emperor of Xian dynasty and thought that if the oracle came down, then there was nothing he could do but respect it. Moreover, the royal family of Xian dynasty had the bloodline of the Great Spirit God. Back then, the number one candidate chosen by the oracle to marry the barbarian princess was Spirit Star. I went to beg the elders of the sect, but the sect didn't want to interfere in this matter because it involved the agreement between gods. Spirit Star decided to sacrifice himself. Wenhong said. After Gu Taxian learned of this, he went down the mountain with his sword and killed several barbarian kings of the barbarian race. Then, he destroyed many of the temples of the Great Spirit God and wanted to take Spirit Star away. However, this was tantamount to blaspheming a god and angering the barbarian race, which would bring a disaster to Xian dynasty. The royal family couldn't tolerate him, and Xian dynasty couldn't tolerate him either. Spirit Star could only break off relations with him. Will the barbarian race retreat if they offer young boys and girls to Xian dynasty? Gu Qinsha frowned. The barbarian race wants to empty Xian dynasty and use it as a blade to attack the 100 Kingdoms. After they succeed, they will destroy Xian dynasty. Can't they see that? The barbarian race naturally thinks so. But this is the oracle. Wenhong said, God also wants to delay as long as he can, hoping to use this opportunity to recuperate. Later, Gu Taxian went back to seize the throne and attacked Xian dynasty, wanting to deprive the faith of the Great Spirit God. Xian dynasty was forced into a corner, so it sent Spirit Star to marry over, who knew that the Great Spirit God was already lurking in Spirit Star's body and suddenly attacked at the crucial moment, trying to kill Gu Taxian. However, he was seriously injured by Gu Taxian's counterattack, and Spirit Star was also attacked by 2 different forces during the counterattack, causing his soul to scatter. So, it's all because of the Great Spirit God that my mother died? Gu Qinsha said. You can say that. Wenhong retracted his gaze from the starry sky. Actually, I don't blame him, But his subordinates, Lu clan, Legalism clan, Hung clan, and Lei clan, when they attacked Xian dynasty, they burned, killed, and plundered. They massacred for days and nights. These people must die. Why didn't he stop the massacre? Gu Chensha asked. At that time, he disappeared for a period of time. Wen Hong said, he might have gone after the Great Spirit God. However, in his heart, those who believe in the Great Spirit God had better disappear along with the Great Spirit God. Then why did you ask me to come here? Gu Chensha asked. I already know what happened to my mother, and I can't blame him. You're telling me all this because you want me to deal with the Liu family and the legalists? No, Wen Hong sighed. The world is about to descend into chaos. You must be prepared. The world is in chaos? Gu Chensha didn't believe it. Right now, the heavenly talisman Immortal Emperor is commanding all 4 directions to attack the barbarian race. The evil gods are all being forced to retreat. The 100 countries are united, and the demons and devils don't dare to cause trouble. The world is unprecedentedly strong and is heading toward the golden age. Why would there be chaos? Prosperity is bound to decline. Wen Hong said, you still don't understand this logic. The great Yonko is too strong. Since ancient times, there has never been someone as strong as him. You still don't understand how strong he is. But because of this, he is no longer tolerated by heaven and earth. Have you ever thought about what would happen to the world if he suddenly disappears one day? This terrifying thought flashed through Gu Chensha's mind at times. Right now, the world was in chaos, and the people were at peace. But it all depended on the heavenly talisman Immortal Emperor. If he disappeared one day, the aristocratic clans, immortal sects, devils, demons, ghosts, and all sorts of other existences would jump out. The world might become hell. At that time, even if Gu Chensha's cultivation was 100 times higher, he would be nothing in this chaotic world. He wouldn't be able to shoulder the heavy responsibility of saving the world. Moreover, he might not even be able to keep his life. Right now, there were many princes who wanted to kill him. The first prince, the 10th prince, and even the 3rd prince wanted to kill him. With his current cultivation, he wouldn't be able to stop the powers behind the princes. World peace is also the wish of the Spirit Star. Wen Hong said, the reason I summoned you here today is to see if you have the ability to save the world. But I heard from Chun Jianfeng that they want a rebel, and Qin Tianwang also wants to rule the world. Gu Chensha asked, with the heavenly talisman Immortal Emperor in power, rebellion is useless. Wen Hong waved his hand. But if he disappears, the country will naturally need to be restored. Before the world falls into chaos, the heavenly talisman will appear, and it will fall into the hands of those who care about the world. To save the world, why didn't the heavenly talisman fall into his hands? This was the most crucial question. Gu Chensha was extremely concerned. What he did is something even the ancient heavenly emperors couldn't do. According to his great merit, the heavenly talisman would have fallen long ago. Because of this, Wen Hong calculated. So regardless of the immortal, demonic, and demonic paths, as well as many aristocratic families, they all think that he is not tolerated by the heavenly Tao. According to his merits, the heavenly talisman would definitely fall into his hands, but it didn't. Does this mean that the heavenly Tao doesn't recognize him? It seems like the heavens aren't very fair. Gu Chensha said, although he obtained the heavenly talisman, he knew in his heart that his virtue was shallow, and he didn't have any merits for the world. The heavenly talisman fell into his hands, and he also reflected on it day and night. He couldn't accept it. The will of the heavens is hard to predict. Who can figure it out? Wen Hong said, I have removed the imprint on the law-breaking immortal sword. You can refine it yourself and use it. I don't plan to take it back. Thank you, Grand Tutor. What do you want me to do? Gu Chensha asked. Very simple. Create your own force, accumulate strength, and wait for the world to fall into chaos. It will naturally be useful. Wen Hong said, Go. He waved his hand. Crackle. A crack actually appeared in the space. Then, with a flick of his sleeve, Gu Chensha's entire body was enveloped by a force and sent into the depths of the crack in space. In the next moment, his eyes lit up, and he appeared on a mountain that was unknown how far away. Looking from the peak of the mountain, he just happened to see his fief. This kind of divine power. Guqinsha broke out in cold sweat. Grand Tutor Wenhong had torn space with his hand and sent him tens of thousands of miles away. It was simply unprecedented. It was many times stronger than the glass jade body. After sending off Guqinsha, Chun Lingyun said to Wenhong, "Grand Tutor, what do you think of this Guqinsha? His entire body's vital energy and blood have the faint smell of heavenly and earthly treasures. He has already cultivated a very strong cultivation technique." Wenhong said, "But it has nothing to do with the Great Spirit God." "Then why didn't Grand Tutor keep him here?" Chun Lingyun said, "I feel that he has many secrets on him. He's definitely not simple." "Forget it. He is Lingxing's son after all, and Trampler gave him the death exemption talisman." Wenhong said, "If this talisman is used at full power, I will inevitably be injured. Moreover, he will be very important to us in the future. With my status, what's the big deal about bullying a junior?" Tian Huang is very dissatisfied with him. Chun Lingyun said that might attack him. Tian Huang always can't see the situation clearly, but he naturally has a group of subordinates who are now colluding with the Black Heaven Earth sect and have their own ideas. But he doesn't understand and thinks that he can take advantage of the Yonko-S attack on the barbarians, Wenhong said. But he doesn't know that all the evil gods together can't do anything to Trampler. Will the Heavenly Talisman Emperor really not last long? Chun Lingyun was a little doubtful. His realm is not something we can understand. He definitely won't last long. The Heavenly Tao is all about balance. Wenhong said, "When those gods reach a certain level of strength, they will be rejected and can't appear in the world for long. They can only find a representative in the world. Trampler's cultivation has already surpassed that of gods, but he still remains in the human world for a long time. In fact, he is contending against the Heavenly Tao. But how can a man win against the Heavenly Tao? In that case, when the Heavenly Talisman Emperor disappears, it will be the day of great chaos. At the same time, before that, there will definitely be a Heavenly Talisman descending, and that person will be the savior of the world." Chun Lingyun said, "No, when the Heavenly Talisman appears, everyone can fight for it. The one who stands out in the end will be the true savior of the world. Since the ancient times, the first person to obtain the Heavenly Talisman was only paving the way for the true dragon." Wenhong said, "After great chaos, there will be great governance. Similarly, after great governance, there will be great chaos. This is the cycle of the Heavenly Tao. Since that's the case, I will constantly monitor this child and see what secrets he has." Chun Lingyun said, "I want to meet the imperial preceptor of the Great Wei dynasty. This dynasty is unprecedentedly powerful, and they are also eyeing Yonko covetously. However, if the world is in great chaos, they can only be involved." Wenhong laughed lightly. "But since ancient times, there has never been a Heavenly Talisman descending from this dynasty. Hence, they're not orthodox. They also want to obtain the Heavenly Talisman to prove that their dynasty is also favored by the Heavenly Tao. This dynasty is also uncivilized and barbarian. They still want to obtain the Heavenly Talisman. What wishful thinking." Chun Lingyun was very disdainful. "This time, if the Heavenly Talisman appears, our dynasty must obtain it. This is a necessary plan." Wenhong pointed his finger repeatedly, and a huge star chart actually appeared in the air. Countless constellations flashed and disappeared in the air. "Your cultivation has not broken through the innate astral chi. It will be difficult to deal with the upcoming chaotic situation. I will expend my vitality to increase your strength." The huge star chart descended, enveloping Chun Lingyun. The flashes of destruction within seeped into her body. 10,000 stars flying immortal, star body refinement, limitless. Wenhong guided the huge power of the stars down, gathered it into a ball, gathered it into his blood essence, and injected it into Chun Lingyun's body. This was a supreme secret technique, close to the means of a deity. Bang, 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 bang. Hundreds of acupoints in Chun Lingyun's body all exploded and then condensed again. She moved her palm lightly, and instantly, a ray of starlight shot out from her body, slicing the crouching bullstone a few hundred steps away in half. I have refined a few treasures in these years of seclusion. I will give them all to you. Wen Hong casually tossed them, and a sparkling shirt and a scepter appeared on Chun Lingyun's body. After that, he lightly tore the space apart, and he entered it, disappearing. Savage tribe, Gu Chinch's fief. Yiming was cultivating a divine technique. He had obtained the heavenly dew and consumed the seven saints' heart-refining pill, and his spirit was extremely strong. He repeatedly analyzed the essence of the Devil Book of Confusion and the Devil Book of Hell Suppression, and started to use the true fire to burn his body, attempting to cultivate the glass jade body. Chapter 113. Without the sun-moon altar, the Son of Heaven's God bestowal art would be difficult to master. However, the changes in the circulation of qi and blood was a foundational art for Yiming. Using this as a foundation, he gradually transformed the evil past divine technique that he cultivated and created something new, a combination of good and evil. Naturally, the Maha suppression scripture wasn't an evil scripture. It could be both righteous and evil. Sometimes Gu Qinsha would also explain in detail the sun and moon refining and sun and moon transformation to Wei Xiaobao. Only he did not mention that it was the Son of Heaven investiture God technique. The transformations of sun and moon itself contained endless transformations. It could transform one's aura into anything, and it was most suitable for concealing one's cultivation. On top of that, Yiming had also consumed the Seven Saints heart-tempering pill. His mental state had become even more profound, and his comprehension had deepened. Other than that, he had been refined by Gu Qinsha before, and was more or less stained with the sun and moon dragon blood. Therefore, he was more familiar with the details of the sun and moon refinement and sun and moon transformation. Even those who were 2 or 3 transformations higher than him wouldn't be able to tell. Who is it? He looked at the door. A person appeared at the door. He was clad in black armor, and his entire body was wrapped up tightly. There were lightning patterns on the armor, and one could feel the vast power contained within without even looking. It was an extremely mysterious treasure that was not inferior to the hornless dragon armor. Kacha kacha! The head of the armor split open, and a person appeared. This person had a curly beard like thatch, and was a rough and wild man. However, his eyes were cold, and there was actually a lightning imprint between his brows. "I am Lei Jiudong," the rough man said. "Kakata, return to your original appearance." Yiming's original name was Kakata. He was the oracle of the barbarian race's temple of Mahanada. He had a high status and was in charge of countless troops. His status was far above that of the barbarian marshal. Lei Jiudong, Grand Elder of the Lei clan, Yiming said. "What are you doing here?" "This is Duke Chen's fief. I'm here for you. Don't be nervous." Lei Jiudong laughed heartily, his tone seemingly magical. "I'll come this time to offer you some good karma. I know that your cultivation has reached the peak, but something is suppressing you, preventing you from circulating your stellar energy and blood chi to form samadhi true fire. Coincidentally, my Lei family has something that is miraculously effective in helping you circulate your blood chi. I'll lend it to you." "What is it? Could it be the Thunder Emperor relic?" Yiming was puzzled. "Why are you helping me? You actually know about the Thunder Emperor relic?" Lei Jiudong was slightly taken aback. As expected of the divine envoy of the barbarian tribe, he has thoroughly investigated our Lei family secrets. "I think that you are a talent, and our Lei family wants to recruit you. As a barbarian race god envoy who has cultivated to Tao Realm Transformation 7, you are bowing down to a junior. You have lost your pride as an expert. I have already recognized the 19th Prince as my master. Please leave quickly, or I will capture you," Yiming said. Lei Jiudong laughed. "My cultivation is not below yours, but you can't do anything to me. Moreover, I'm here to help you. Seeing you being humiliated like this, I can't stand it anymore. Nonsense. Yiming stretched out his hand, but he did not use his innate gang chi. Instead, he used his physical strength. If you want to capture me, then follow me. Lei Jiudong flew out, with Yiming in hot pursuit. In the blink of an eye, the two of them were out of the castle, out of the fief, and into the dense forest. After chasing for hundreds of miles, Lei Jiudong suddenly stopped at a flat piece of land in the forest. Yiming followed behind him, but didn't move. What are you doing? Nothing much. I just lured you into the formation. Lei Jiudong clapped his hands, and suddenly, many large flags surged out of the ground. Each flag had a talisman in the shape of lightning, crackling and crackling. Don't be nervous. This formation doesn't have any killing power. It's called the Ancestral Lightning Formation. I trust that with your eyesight, you should be able to tell. Lightning God Ancestor Spirit Formation. Yiming looked at the huge flags that were engraved with lightning talismans, then looked around. This formation is indeed not used to trap people. I know very well that this formation is used for cultivation. A vast amount of spiritual energy is poured into the formation, and the lightning will circulate, forming a connection with the ancestral spirit of the thunder god, opening up one's entire body and tempering one's astral energy. It's domineering and fierce, but every time it's used, it consumes a great deal of energy. Right, this formation needs too much spiritual energy. It needs to be placed in a spirit-gathering formation and nurtured for 60 years. Lei Jiudong walked around casually. Take a look. I don't have any animosity. I just want to help you raise your realm. You are so nice. Yiming frowned. I told you that someone used a talisman to blind your heart. As long as you raise your realm, you will be able to cultivate a supreme technique and regain your original appearance. My Lei family came to recruit you and give you a huge gift. Lei Jiudong said, you are a formation expert, so take a look at this formation. Did I lie to you? My Lei family wasted 60 years of savings just to trick you? I am clear about the strength of this formation, and I have records of it. Yiming frowned. I am indeed stuck at an important stage and am unable to cultivate the Samadhi true fire. The greatest use of this formation is to refine energy, strengthen the body, and open up acupoints. It can also use the power of lightning to shape one's body. Even the glass jade body can be formed using this body, saving many years of hard work. But why didn't the 10th prince use it? Him? Lei Jiudong laughed coldly. This brat is tyrannical and tyrannical. Not only that, he doesn't have the pure bloodline of our Lei clan. Our Lei clan is extremely unhappy with him. If it wasn't for the Heavenly Talisman Emperor, who would have given him so many benefits? Moreover, his cultivation is too low. So isn't this a waste? This formation is best used when one is at Tao Realm 7 to 8 or 8 to 9 transformations. Okay, if you want to cultivate the Samadhi true fire, then stand in the formation. If you don't, then treat it like I didn't say anything. Scoff. Yiming scoffed coldly. I want to see what you are plotting. Why wouldn't I take something that is sent to me? That's right. It is definitely a gift. Lei Jiudong praised. With your intellect and foresight, it is tough for me to lie to you. Suddenly, he took out a small flag and waved it. The formation started to activate. Pala pala. Many snake-shaped lightning bolts spun in the formation and surged towards Yiming. Yiming touched the lightning, and it was actually fine. Instead, the lightning drilled into his body and made him feel really comfortable. Not bad. This is the essence of lightning. It has a godly power that gives birth to life. Since that is the case, then what are you waiting for? Rub the Xiantian earth energy in your body and burn it to form the Samadhi true fire. Refine those talismans that are controlling you. Lei Jiudong suddenly spat out a few mouthfuls of fresh blood into the formation. The lightning within became even more intense and actually wrapped Yiming up. The lightning within was like millions of silver snakes dancing about. Excitement appeared on Yiming's face. He opened his mouth and swallowed all the silver snakes. More silver snakes turned into thin threads and drilled into his pores. The moment he refines the heart-stealing talisman in his body, his mind will fight against the power of the talisman. Then, I can take the chance to plant the will of the lightning ancestor in his body and make him a lightning god believer. Although it takes 60 years to use the formation, is worth it. Lei Jiodong nodded. If not, how could I have subdued such an expert? Maha transformation, chaotic demon Tao, sun and moon transformation, heavenly Tao sinking, one hand to mend the heavens. Yiming felt really comfortable. He activated his true qi and merged all the lightning power into it. Kacha kacha. The blood in his body circulated quickly, and there was the sound of ice melting. The lightning essence was really useful in refining true qi. It made his true qi tougher, gentler, stronger, and more flexible. This energy could turn into silk, blades, and swords. It was even more closely connected to his soul. In just this short period of time, he had saved decades of hard work. The thickness of his true qi had nearly doubled. What is going on? Why haven't you lit up the Samadhi true flame? You have absorbed so many lightning elites. These are good things that we have accumulated for 1,000 years. Lei Jiodong was shocked. This plan is flawless. If the lightning god has such a strong believer and he snatched it from Maha, then the rewards would be immeasurable. Master is right. Yiming, who was in the array, comfortably absorbed the energy. After the news is leaked, many people will definitely target me. I'll beat them at their own game and obtain countless benefits. Hung Long. The formation became even fiercer, and all the lightning changed once more. The lightning snakes turned into lightning dragons. Yiming felt more comfortable absorbing it. He started to refine the true flame all over his body. From his feet up, this was the process of forming the glass jade body. Originally, he would need 30 to 40 years to form the Tao Realm glass jade body. But now, he saved a lot of time and even made his body really strong. Absorb all of it. Yiming turned the true qi in his body into a whirlpool. A strong suction force spread out, and instantly all the lightning in the formation was sucked dry. The flags in the surroundings lost their effects and stopped moving. The energy accumulated over the past 60 years was completely used up. As for Yiming, he was not done yet. He looked at Lei Jiodong from within the array. That's it. I was about to break through, so why did it stop? You didn't break through to the 8 transformation true flame realm? Impossible. Such power can definitely cause the true qi in your body to transform and form the true flame. Lei Jiodong nearly jumped up. His eyes opened wide. What happened? I'm lacking a bit of strength. Yiming said seriously. I've cultivated a secret art that makes it extremely difficult to use true qi. Of course, it's also extremely powerful. Do you know the Hell King's 10 halls Tao in the Maha suppression scripture? Ordinary experts might be able to advance to the 8 transformations, but I need 10 times more. 10 times? Lei Jiodong suddenly said, since that is the case, then follow me back to Lei family. I will take out the Lightning Emperor relic and help you form the true flame. Why don't you bring the Lightning Emperor relic here? I can't leave the castle too far, and I can't go against his orders. Yiming was acting. Chapter 114. You want to leave? Lei Jiodong's body flashed, and he appeared in front of Yiming. His fingers formed a grabbing shape, and true qi turned into a net that landed. Yiming's 2 fingers were like blades, and with a light slash, the net was torn apart. However, he did not want to continue fighting with Lei Jiodong. He immediately flew off into the distance. Lei Jiodong, although your cultivation base is strong, you haven't mastered the glass jade body. You can't do anything to me. Damn, how did this happen? Lei Jiodong saw that Yiming's movement technique and how he broke his true qi net. He was shocked and knew that he wouldn't be able to do anything even if he chased him. Why is he so strong? I'm obviously a realm higher than him. But he absorbed all the true central lightning elites and was able to fight against me. What should I do now? I have suffered a huge loss. He was a Tao Realm Transformation 8 expert and should have been able to suppress Yiming. What he didn't know was that Yiming had schemed against him. He was calculating that the moment he turned Yiming into a lightning god believer, the lightning god would descend and reward him, allowing his realm to rise once more. But now all of that had gone to waste. All of a sudden, he had no idea and didn't know what to do. At this moment, Yiming returned to the castle and was summoned by Gu Chensha. He also had a cycle box from the Celestial Craft Institute. Master, you want to meet Grand Tutor Wenhong and are back? Did you face any danger? Yiming looked at Gu Chensha condensing his blood and drawing talismans on the Xuanwu egg. When the Sun Moon Dragon blood entered the egg, the Xuanwu egg gave out thick essence energy. The energy became purer and purer. I can see that Master's cultivation will break through in a short while, and he will reach the second transformation of Dao Realm. My progress is slow, but I am not in a rush. After Gu Chensha drew the talismans on the Xuanwu egg, he opened up the Great Dragon armor and used the Sun Moon refining technique to draw talismans on it. The Great Dragon armor absorbed the talismans and started to move. It seemed like it had become stronger. This time, when I meet Grand Preceptor Wenhong, I reckon that I will encounter danger. Because I have a death exemption talisman, I am not afraid. Gu Chensha, on the other hand, had a plan in mind. His cultivation base is too strong. Even if I were to become 100 times stronger, I would still not be a match for him. He actually broke through space and sent me 100,000 kilometers away in the blink of an eye. Now that the two realms are separated, his cultivation is close to that of some primordial demon immortals. He is slowly coming into contact with the mysteries of the gods, Yiming said in shock. Luckily, I think he is also afraid of the death exemption talisman, so he doesn't dare to do anything to you. No matter how strong he was not a match for the Heavenly Talisman Emperor. Back then, it was said that the Heavenly Talisman Emperor didn't kill him because he intentionally spared him. He also mentioned this matter. Gu Chensha seemed to have a lot on his mind. I received news from him that the Emperor will disappear soon. According to his identity, he doesn't seem to be lying. If he really disappears, what should the world do? Actually, this rumor has existed since the 10th year of the Heavenly Talisman Emperor. Yiming said, according to logic, given the Heavenly Talisman Emperor's achievements, the Heavenly Sacrificial Talisman decree should have fallen into his hands long ago. But it hasn't appeared yet. This means that the Heavenly Tao doesn't recognize him. There's also another point. During the 10th year of the Heavenly Talisman Emperor, he led his subjects to worship the heavens. During the worship, there was a phenomenon in the sky. There was actually a solar eclipse. The sun was surrounded by a blood-colored light that lasted for a very long time. Even when the moon rose at night, it was also surrounded by a dense blood-colored light. This lasted for 10 days before vanishing. There are records of such phenomena in the primordial era. Master should know what's going on. I know. Gu Chensha recalled that in the ancient times, there were a few extremely evil emperors who sacrificed to the heavens. The heavens were enraged, and the people were resentful. There was also a solar eclipse where the blood-colored light surrounded the sun and moon for a day and night. After that, these emperors all died and their countries were destroyed. Even for the most evil emperors, the blood-colored light only surrounded the sun and moon for a day and night. But after the Heavenly Talisman Emperor sacrificed to the heavens, it actually lasted for 10 days and nights. How evil was this? At that time, I was only 10 years old. Although I wasn't very sensible, I still remember this matter. During those few days, the sun and moon were indeed covered in a layer of blood-colored light. At that time, the people in the capital city were in a state of panic. Later on, the imperial court issued a decree saying that the evil gods were causing mischief and bewitching the people. After that, the people in the capital city gradually calmed down. Gu Chensha recalled the past. After that, nothing much happened among the people. Instead, the weather was good and the people lived in peace. After 3 years, the people's hearts finally calmed down. Could there be a reason behind this? That was definitely not the work of the evil gods. Even God Maha wouldn't do such a thing. The sun and moon in the sky are actually one of the incarnations of the Tao. That's why they can illuminate every corner of the endless mainland. Ming said, actually, anyone with a high cultivation base would know that this was indeed a change in the heavenly Tao. However, the reason why the weather was so good was probably because the heavenly talisman Great Emperor used his supreme divine arts to suppress the change in the heavenly Tao. Yes, I've read the ancient records. When those evil emperors worship the heavens, and something like this happens, there will be all sorts of natural and man-made disasters within 3 years. Then the people and gods will abandon them, and they will eventually fall. Guchen Shah said, now that 3 years have passed, the people's hearts will naturally calm down. But more and more aristocratic families, as well as our barbarian tribes, have secretly received the divine edict saying that the heavenly talisman Great Emperor has been abandoned by the heavenly Tao. We have to be prepared. Otherwise, the barbarians wouldn't be preparing to attack the pass. Ming said, isn't it said that the one who wins the hearts of the people will win the world? Guchen Shah felt that his way of thinking was subverted. Now, who in the world doesn't say that the emperor is good? Why does the heavenly Tao think that he isn't doing well? The will of the heavens is hard to predict. It's not something that we can know. Ming said, if we can know how the heavenly Tao thinks, then we will be invincible. Even the gods don't know the true nature of the heavenly Tao. Ming, how do you feel about the lives of the commoners now? Guchen Shah asked. The world is different from the previous dynasties. Many rules have been subverted. In another 100 years, or even several hundred years, I'm afraid the entire world will change. Ming pondered. If I were the commoners of the Yonko, I would be happy because I have hope for the future. Many people think the same way. Your Majesty is still very popular among the commoners. Guchen Shah stood up, looking at the merchants coming and going in his fief. Everyone had joy on their faces, even the lowliest of coachmen and servants. They all had hope. I will not allow anyone to destroy this life, not even the heavens. However, why did the heavenly sacrificial talisman fall into my hands? This is the crux of the matter, and is worth pondering. Actually, for the people of the world, I am willing to offer the heavenly sacrificial talisman to the heavens. But now, the talisman has fused into the depths of my mind, and I can't take it out even if I wanted to. If the world really changes, what should I do? Master, I might break through to the Tao realm 9 transformation glass body at any moment. Lei family's 60 years of essence has been injected into my Xiantian energy, which is the same as 40 years of cultivation. Ming said, I hope that master can help me with the last step. Oh, how do you want it to help you? Guchen Shah retracted his thoughts. My body has accumulated large amounts of lightning essence, and is close to being full. Ming said, the Samadhi true flame burns both inside and out, but it is fine. Only the last step will burn the brain, and if I am not careful, it will damage my brain and cause me to go mad. However, after consuming the 7-sage heart-tempering pill, my mental power has improved, and I'm not afraid of this step. I'm also somewhat confident. However, in order to ensure that nothing goes wrong, I still want Master to draw a talisman on my head. Another thing is that when I advance, Master will feel it more deeply. At the same time, it will transform my essence energy, causing Master's cultivation to increase. Maybe you might even break through to Tao Realm 2 transformation. Oh, is this the same as when I hatched the Xuanwu egg? Guchen Shah understood. Ming sat down and started to adjust the Xiantian energy in his body. Instantly, his body started to burn like a blazing flame. Guchen Shah forced out fresh blood. His fingers moved like snakes as he drew many talismans on his head. Ming's clothes burned, and then his body started to burn. His flesh and blood started to burn from the inside out. It was like a piece of paper turning into glass, slowly giving off a glow. It wasn't a physical body, but an exquisite treasure. Guchen Shah was secretly shocked. Only now did he know why it was called a glass jade body. This was really the calcination of glass. As long as he could break through this stage, the cultivation of his physical body would reach a whole new realm. It was far from something that could be compared to copper skin and iron bones. In the end, the flames rose to his neck and then his brain. There couldn't be any mistakes. Gu Qinsha pointed at Yiming's brow and instantly sensed that all the blood in his body was being sucked. But he knew that Yiming was using his sun-moon dragon blood to protect his brain. In his mind, Yiming's movement path and the various changes in the Xiantian energy were all reflected in his mind. It was the same as him going through this transformation. His face was ashen white, and half of his blood was sucked away by Yiming. He could only drink heaven dew, and the essence energy in his body surged. The blood that was sucked away was also burned by the true flame and became pure. This was a realm that he couldn't reach at all. Kacha! Yiming's hair was burned by the true flame, and he became bald. Flames charged out from his head and were 3 feet tall. At that moment, the half of the blood that Yiming sucked away surged back. The blood that was burned by the Samadhi true flame surged back into Gu Qinsha's body. At that moment, he went through a true blood change. He couldn't help but let out a long howl that shook the 9 heavens. Flames also shot out from his pores, and the enormous yuan qi in his body instantly filled every inch of his skin, muscles, and bones. Even his nails were filled with boundless strength. His entire body, when he breathed, his vital energy flowed a full cycle, and there were no more obstacles. Wherever his mind went, the spiritual energy that he sucked from the air would go there. When he breathed, the spiritual energy was just used in his meridians and merged with his blood to nourish his body. Now, the spiritual energy directly entered his skin, bones, marrow, and stratum corneum. This was the second change of Tao realm, 9 bulls and 2 tigers. Chapter 115. Originally, Gu Qinsha still needed some time to cultivate the second transformation, the 9 bulls and 2 tigers. However, Yiming sucked away half of his blood and used the Samadhi true fire to refine it, extract it, and then feed it back. In that instant, Gu Qinsha's life essence was strengthened to a certain realm, and he broke through. The moment the transformation was completed, Gu Qinsha felt that his strength wasn't so hard to grasp anymore, and he felt really comfortable. Now, not only was the sun-moon kill much stronger, but he could also use it many times. Of course, the biggest gain was that Yiming had reached Tao Realm 9 transformation, Glass J body. The moment this transformation was completed, Yiming's strength increased by a huge amount. For people below Tao Realm 9 transformation, even if Xiantian energy struck their bodies, they wouldn't be able to harm them. This transformation was the pinnacle of body transformations. After entering this transformation, one didn't need to worry about any problems with the body. In the future, one could just focus on cultivating the mind and finally break away from the body. People with the Tao Realm 9 transformation Glass J body were strong treasures themselves. They could suppress the formation, I, and also affect the people around. With this person as the center, an energy field would form within a few hundred steps. One would feel really comfortable in the energy field, and all illnesses would be cured. One's lifespan would increase. Even after one died, their bones would be placed in the room, and the entire room would have the effect of reducing illnesses and increasing lifespan. Master, thanks to your plan, I was able to obtain the Lei family's formation. If not, how would I have been able to cultivate the Glass J body so quickly? The armor on Yiming's body moved and wrapped around his body, but I think that the Lei family won't let this go. They build a country and have the lightning god bloodline. They suffered a loss this time, and their plan went wrong. In the near future, they will definitely plot against us. It is okay. We will deal with them when they come. Gu Qinsha thought about it. Your strength has increased by several times, so you might not be afraid of them. Of course, we have to raise our strength too. The ones with the most potential are Lu Yu and the others. I'll train them. They've also consumed the 7 sage heart tempering pill and heavenly dew to raise their cultivation. This is a treatment that even princes don't get. In fact, even some young sect masters of immortal Tao sects don't get to do this. Who knows how many years they've spent following Master? Yiming sized up the Xuanwu egg once more, Master broke through because I fed his blood and used the Samadhi true flame to purify it. But this is just a small matter. Once Master hatches the Xuanwu egg, the power will be huge. Xuanwu is an ancient god beast, and when it is born, it has the power to cause chaos in the ocean. It can fly in the sky and burrow into the ground. It is really terrifying. I feel like it's a bottomless pit. No matter how much blood it absorbs, it's still not full. Gu Chensha shook his head. If I had used its blood on the great dragon armor, I'm afraid it would have already become the king dragon armor. Master, you don't have to be anxious. Actually, hatching the egg is also a form of cultivation. Not only did you not suffer any losses, but you even improved. Ming said, crafting the great dragon armor is just a waste of energy. Although the great dragon armor can block Yu Ba's Xiantian earth energy, his cultivation is really low. His earth energy isn't that strong. If it was a true expert, even if they were at Dao Realm Transformation 6, they would be able to break the great dragon armor in one strike. For example, the Hell King Spike from the Maha Hell Suppression Scripture. He waved his hand. Pu. Many needles flew out from his hand and stabbed into the ground. Instantly, many holes appeared on the ground. These needles weren't made of metal, but condensed Xiantian earth energy. His great dragon armor couldn't block it at all. One needle was enough to kill him. A top expert at Dao Realm Transformation 6. After condensing Xiantian earth energy, his strike is unstoppable. When I cultivated to Dao Realm Transformation 7, I met a young man at Transformation 6. I thought that I could capture him to sacrifice to God Maha. But when we clashed, he broke my Xiantian earth energy in an instant and nearly beheaded me. I tried my best to flee, and in the end, the Archbishop of the God Temple came to save me. That was why I wasn't killed by him. Ming recalled. That was a true genius. Later on, I found out that his name was Feng Fa Wuxian. He was the strongest genius of the school of legalism since ancient times. Compared to him, Gu Fa Sha was just an idiot. He was so strong. Gu Qinsha knew that Gu Fasha's cultivation was strong, and he had already cultivated the glass jade body. He could be said to be extremely intelligent, but in Ming's evaluation, compared to Fa Wuxian, he was an idiot. How strong was Fa Wuxian exactly? Suddenly, he recalled what Grand Tutor Wenhong said. Out of Heaven Talisman Emperor's sons, only Gu Huasha had some skills. The others were really ordinary and were just a pile of resources. Some geniuses have cultivation speeds that we can't imagine. They don't need any help and naturally become top experts. For example, Heaven Talisman Emperor didn't use any treasures and just relied on his own strength to fight. Ming sighed. Actually, Master and I are both of ordinary talent. Master must have obtained a supreme treasure to turn the situation around. Now, my talent is slowly increasing. My talent is indeed ordinary. Gu Qinsha knew about himself. Apart from being hardworking, his talent in cultivation was really average. If he was really talented, even if he didn't have any resources, he would be able to step into Dao Realm. The key was that he obtained the Heaven Sacrificial Decree and was only at the second transformation of Dao Realm. Although he was doing it slowly, in truth, his talent was still not enough. But he believed that since his talent wasn't good, then he would work hard to make up for it. With such a belief, he wouldn't slack off. In terms of talent, Lu Yu and the others are really outstanding. Their cultivation is slowly showing. Ming said, Master can look at them in the future. They will definitely improve quickly. They have the bloodline of a god in their bodies, and it is about to be fully activated. Gu Qinshan knew that the ancient 5 seasons god was really strong. Lu Yu and the others hadn't fully activated it, but it was close. Let's go and take a look at the 5 of them. Gu Qinsha waved his sleeves. Right, you need to spend more effort on Godson's cultivation. Yes. Ming nodded his head. Godson's talent is not bad, but his foundations are weak. Luckily, he consumed the 7 Saint Heart training pill and heaven due to make up for it. I also used Xiantian energy to clear his body and taught him the energy nourishing concentration technique. He improved a lot. Now that you have cultivated the Tao Realm 9 transformation glass J body, you still need to hide your aura. Maybe people will come to find you and think that you are being controlled by the talisman. Guchen Sha said, I passed the transformation technique to you, so who knows whether or not you comprehended anything new. Master's transformation technique far exceeds that of the Maha prison suppression scripture. Yiming said, I started to study it and you were able to hide it from experts stronger than me. While speaking, his aura changed and his skin started to wither. He didn't look like the glass jade body anymore, and he looked exactly like a Tao Realm 7 transformation expert. Amazing. Gu Chen's Tao of nature was the Tao of sun and moon transformation's vital energy transformation technique. Even if Yiming only cultivated a small part of it, it was enough for him to hide his strength and confuse the enemy. He walked downstairs to the training hall. As expected, Lu Yu and the other 4 were leading the soldiers to train. The lecturer was actually Shi Tai Tai. There was also a young man who was about 20 years old, 4 or 5 years older than Guchen Sha. He was handsome and tall, but his aura was as majestic as a mountain. When Guchen Sha first saw him, the image of 1,000 mountains rising at the end of the sky appeared in his mind. What a strong martial path aura! It is even stronger than the cold jade dew. Guchen Sha thought to himself, Greetings, King. When Shi Tai and the others saw Guchen Sha walking over, they hurriedly bowed. This young man introduced himself as he bowed. Your Highness, I am Shi Zhongshan. My father is Marquis Dashi. I have been ordered to serve under your Highness. So it is brother. Guchen Sha walked up and held Shi Zhongshan's hand. We are of the same generation, so there is no need to be so polite. I wrote a letter to Dashi Marquis to ask him to help. I didn't expect brother to personally come. My foundation is shallow, and my soldiers are not strong enough. I need brother who is proficient in the art of war to teach them. I will definitely do my best. Shi Zhongshan smiled. The soldiers under King are all tigers and wolves and are not to be underestimated. Especially Lu Yu and the other 4. Their future achievements are limitless. These are just some trinkets. Please accept them. Guchen Sha took out a bottle and stuffed it into Shi Zhongshan's hand. Brother, please don't reject it. Shi Zhongshan took the bottle and said with a stern expression, Is the purple blood life returning elixir? King is indeed extraordinary. This elixir can regrow flesh and bones and regenerate vitality. No matter how serious the injuries are, it is equivalent to having another life. It is just a small matter. Guchen Sha said, Previously, Dashi Marquis gave me 300 sets of horned dragon armor, and I have yet to repay him. Later on, I will return a gift to Marquis. I hope brother can just bring it back. King is too courteous. Father is currently at the Sky-Bearing Pass and has been summoned by His Majesty. Shi Zhongshan smiled. His Majesty has ordered the Celestial Designer Institute to build a temporary imperial residence near the Sky-Bearing Pass. Now that he has arrived, I think he will summon the princes later. Father is already at the border? Guchen's eyes moved in thought. No wonder that Grand Preceptor Wenhong did not dare to look for me, but asked me to go see him. There is another important matter at hand. Shi Zhongshan lowered his voice. The Emperor has the intention of moving the capital and wants to move the capital to the borders. The Son of Heaven will guard the country and fight to the death with the barbarians. This time, I came to see my father because of this important matter. My father asked me to reveal this to your Highness so that your Highness can consider it carefully. Moving the capital is a big matter to actually move it to the border. Guchen Sha was shocked. This is no small matter. If the center of the capital is moved, there will be unrest. This is His Majesty's intention, so your Majesty must not oppose it. Shi Zhongshan said, I think the imperial edict for His Majesty to summon the princes is already on its way. Chapter 116. The decree was really simple, and it was just one sentence. Guchen Sha took it and said right away, Yiming, I will leave this castle to you. Treat me well and wait for me to return. He trusted Yiming. In truth, there was no one more loyal than him. Don't worry, master. Yiming bowed. Sure, Zhongchan smiled. He knew the secret within. Yiming was at Dao Realm Transformation 7, and with such cultivation, he could support an aristocratic family. If he worked for the dynasty, he would be conferred a title right away. But now he was subdued by Gu Qinsha. Other princes didn't have such a strong servant. They only had guest officials, so they had to be polite when they spoke. Brother, I will head out now. There's no need to be polite. In the future, this land will be your home. Gu Qinsha treated him with respect and didn't put on any airs at all. You can tell Yiming anything you need. Your Highness, you're being too serious. Sure, Zhongchan hurriedly cupped his fists, yet he seemed cultured and refined, graceful and elegant, causing one's heart to flutter. Gu Qinsha packed up and headed out right away. He didn't use a horse and didn't bring any followers. He also didn't use the great dragon armor to fly. He just flew on his own to see how fast he was. So. He sprinted on the road, going all out. He was as fast as lightning, and pretty much no one could see his shadow. One could only feel a gust of wind blow past. Even if he wasn't flying in the sky, his speed on the ground was faster than that of a bird. He was familiarizing himself with the ability of the 9 bulls and 2 tigers transformation. Large amounts of flesh and blood power circulated in his body, allowing him to cross dozens of feet with each step. When he faced a river, he would just step on the waves. When he faced the black demon bat on the canal, he envied its ability. Now that they were at the same realm and his combat ability was more than 10 times that of the black demon bat, it was easy for him to step on the waves. Even if he didn't rely on the great dragon armor, he could ignore mountains and rivers. Moreover, he circulated the secret technique of the sun-moon dragon and inhaled and exhaled spirit chi. Every time he inhaled and exhaled, a large amount of spirit chi would be absorbed from the void. In an instant, it would fill up his limbs and bones, as well as his skin and diaphragm. If one's Tao realm changed, spiritual energy wouldn't be able to fill the diaphragm between breaths. Running for a long time would still be tiring, and one would need a rest. For example, in the past, Gu Qinsha would have to stop and rest for a while after running for 800 li in one go. But now, after running for a day, he had already run for almost 3,000 li, yet he still had energy left. It was just that his muscles and bones were slightly sore. Only when one reaches such a realm do they know that Tao Realm Transformation 3 has copper skin and iron bones. They're like killing demons on the battlefield. Gu Qinsha calculated in his heart. Although he could hold on for a long period of time, his bones and muscles would still feel numb. But after the 3rd stage, his skin and bones would be like iron, and he wouldn't feel any numbness at all. Many soldiers would just be asking to die on the battlefield. No wonder the barbarian race's 9-star generals had to be at the 3rd transformation of the Tao realm. They were invulnerable, didn't know fatigue, and had immense strength. Such a person was really terrifying on the battlefield. Changtian Taoist Temple was right in front of him. Gu Qinsha stopped flying and slowed down his footsteps as he walked into the mountain pass. Along the way, he saw many martial arts masters entering the wilderness. Many of them did not care about shocking the world and used their martial arts to fly. There were even more caravans coming and going. There were actually 10 times more people than when he came out of the mountain pass. The roads outside the pass were expanding. Markets and fortresses were being built in full swing. Many of the resources obtained from the wildlands were being bought and sold here. At the same time, groups of soldiers patrolled the area in an orderly manner. No one dared to force anyone to buy or sell, and there were no robberies or murders. Even some of the hidden martial arts masters were obeying the order and did not dare to act recklessly. So strong. Gu Qinsha observed in the dark and realized that there were people who were at the 6th transformation of the Tao realm and above. But they all pretended to be normal people and haggled. It seems like some cultivators have been attracted and stepped into the mortal world. There are many spiritual herbs and ores in the wilderness, and they need them to refine pills and cultivate. It is too problematic to gather them themselves, so it is much more convenient to buy them here. The ancient 72 celestial sects were high above and looked down on the mortal world. Who knew how many experts were hidden within, and now there would be disciples entering the world? The situation is really chaotic. He shook his head. I just hope that these people don't act recklessly and spoil the lives of the people. He entered the pass and flashed his token. The soldiers brought him to the inn to rest and wait for Heaven Talisman Emperor to summon him. Just as he was about to enter the pass, a man and a woman who were picking medicinal ingredients in the market outside the pass stared at his back. The man and woman were both very young and very handsome. They were dressed like disciples of rich families, but any expert could tell that they were not people of the mortal world. Senior brother. The person who entered was Prince 19. The girl had a red star at the center of her brow. This person's vital energy is really strong. He is actually at the second transformation of the Tao realm and is comparable to the intersect disciples. After all, he is the son of the Heaven Talisman Emperor. The man played with the stone. It was slightly red, and when it shook, there seemed to be a liquid sound. This time, the higher-ups of the sect told us to come out and train in the mortal world. We can't be careless, and we have to do some good deeds. We have to find some talented people and bring them into the sect. Chaos is coming, but it is also an opportunity, because people born from the fate of heaven and earth will be born. As long as we can bring them into the sect will develop and grow. Unfortunately, the Heaven-Earth sect didn't manage to recruit Gu Taxian. Otherwise, we would have unified the ancient 72 celestial sects. I saw a few talented people, but I have to observe them for a while to see their background. The girl said, our 9-element mysterious sect needs to be tested carefully. We can't be too strict now. The man looked around. I saw people from the 10,000 Swords mysterious sect and Mingzhou mysterious sect. In a while, it will be the ranking battle of the 72 celestial sects. The top disciples of the various sects will fight. I heard that a genius appeared in the Tai mysterious sect. I wonder if he can get first place. The Black Heaven Earth sect has been first for too long. There hasn't been a powerful person yet. It seems that Gu Taxian has absorbed all the sect's fate. The man and woman whispered to each other, but they didn't notice that some inconspicuous people among the common people were staring at them. Those people were spies from the imperial court. In an instant, undercurrents surged and the situation was chaotic. Gu Qinsha rested in the relay station. He took a bath and changed his clothes, silently cultivating for the night. The next day, at dawn, an edict arrived at the relay station, summoned Prince Chun to the palace to meet the emperor. Gu Qinsha tidied up his clothes and followed the eunuch to the palace built at the border. Not far from Sky Bearing Pass, the huge palace had already been built. It was resplendent with layers of palaces, and a rainbow hung eternally at the top. From afar, it didn't look like the mortal world, but the residence of the Emperor Heaven. On the way to the palace, Gu Qinsha saw the 7th prince, the 9th prince, the 10th prince, the 3rd prince, the 4th prince, and the other princes. He even saw Liu Baiwei, who was also brought by the eunuch to meet the emperor. Liu Baiwei glanced at him, but the others had solemn expressions and didn't dare to speak. Apart from them, a few ministers also came in one after another. After entering the palace, the ministers went through a side door, while the princes took the main path. Liu Baiwei also followed among the princes. This was an honor bestowed by the Heavenly Talisman Emperor to let the people of the imperial court know that Liu Baiwei was treated like his own son. The palace was deep, and after walking for an unknown period of time, the red sun hung high in the sky. The princes all arrived outside the main hall. Your Highnesses, please wait here. The emperor will summon you. The eunuch stopped the princes and entered the main hall to report. Gu Qinsha took the chance to look at his brother's cultivation. The 10th prince has actually reached the 3rd transformation, copper skin, iron bones. He is so quick. I can't see through Liu Baiwei's cultivation. 7th brother's glass jade body is stronger than Yiming's, but 4th brother's cultivation doesn't seem that strong. He's only at the 2nd transformation of the Tao realm. Was he hiding his strength? The 4th prince was Gu Huasha. He stepped into the Tao realm long ago, but he didn't improve much. He had a peaceful personality and didn't fight for anything. To many people, he was just an idle prince. His talent depended on his mother's race, and he spent all his savings to try to enter the Tao realm. However, the Grand Preceptor Wen Hong had relied on his methods to evaluate the first prince Gu Hongsha and the seventh prince Gu Fasha as sloppy. Wen Hong was a heaven master, someone comparable to the ancient demon celestial. He stood at the peak, so he definitely had good eyes. Out of all the princes, he actually had high hopes for the fourth Gu Huasha. With Gu Chinch's eyesight, no matter how he looked at Gu Huasha, who was at the second transformation of the Tao realm, he couldn't even compare to himself. So, how did Wen Hong evaluate him like that? He couldn't figure it out. The emperor has a decree. After a full hour, the sixth palace manager Gao Ling walked out. Duke Chun, speak first. All the princes looked towards Gu Qinsha. He instantly became the target of everyone. Logically speaking, he shouldn't have been the first to be summoned. Thinking back to the Heaven Talisman Emperor's Death Immunity Talisman, it meant that Prince 19 was favored. Gu Qinsha thought to himself, "It seems like I did well to offer the 7 Sane Heart Cultivation Pill. The other brothers would swallow it if they got it, so why would they offer it up?" He climbed up and followed the eunuch Gao Ling into the hall. The hall was deep, and Heaven Talisman Emperor Gu Taxian sat behind the desk and read documents. There was no one around him. Gao Ling backed out and closed the door. The hall was terrifyingly silent. Gu Qinsha knelt down. "Greetings, father." Heaven Talisman Emperor didn't reply. His silence made Gu Qinsha feel really nervous. He had already learned from Wen Hong how terrifying his father was. Many of his secrets might not be able to hide from this number one person in history. This was a person that even gods feared. "Rise." After a long while, Heaven Talisman Emperor spoke. The moment Gu Qinsha stood up, Heaven Talisman Emperor's words nearly caused him to fall back down. Chapter 117. There's no need to panic. The Heavenly Talisman Emperor pointed to a chair at the side. "Sit down." Seeing that the atmosphere was still calm, Gu Chinch's heart calmed down. "Actually, Wen Hong and I were friends in the past." Gu Taxian's eyes were filled with reminiscence, but due to a combination of factors, we became enemies. There's nothing we can do about it. Many of my friends fell out with me. For example, Taoist 100 Tribulations. He drank with me, but died in my hands in the end. It's all fate. Imperial Father, there's no need to be too sad. Gu Qinsha hurriedly said, "I believe Wen Hong told you about your mother?" Gu Taxian looked at the void in front of him. "He did." Gu Qinsha nodded. "It's all because of the Great Spirit God's evil intentions. Unfortunately, this god is still roaming free and has yet to be executed. After Spirit Star died, I pursued this fiend and heavily injured him. But this fiend abandoned his divine throne and self-destructed his divine country, executing a secret art to escape." Gu Taxian's words shook Gu Chinch's heart. This was a god-slaying battle, but he didn't know how earth-shattering it was. He was like an ant listening to the battle between dragons in the sky. After he abandoned his divine throne, he disappeared completely and might have reincarnated into the mortal world. Later on, I had to deal with the barbarian evil gods and the profound immortals, as well as the demon race's great sages, so I didn't have time to investigate this fiend. This was the first time the Heavenly Talisman Emperor spoke so much to him. Gu Qinsha felt strange, but he could only listen without interrupting. "Do you blame me for being neglected in the palace all these years?" Gu Taxian suddenly asked. "I don't dare." Gu Qinsha hurriedly said. "You don't dare, but you must be blaming me for being unfair in your heart." Gu Taxian saw it clearly. "But if not, how could your fate be reversed and you obtain such a great fortune?" Bang! Hearing this, Gu Chinch's blood vessels surged, almost exploding. There was only one thought in his mind. Could it be that the secret of me obtaining the sacrificial talisman has been found out? He raised his head and saw Gu Taxian's gaze. He tried his best to remain calm, but he did not move or show it. Instead, he forced himself to calm down and said, "Father," I said, "don't be nervous." Gu Taxian didn't think much of it. You're very good. You've done a good job keeping your composure. You didn't panic or lose your composure. In this aspect, you're better than the other brothers. In my opinion, only the fourth is more profound than you, but he has his own opportunities. I owe your mother something, so I'll give you a fated chance that doesn't belong to you in the first place. I've temporarily won the game with the heavens. However, this may not be a good thing for you. You will definitely have a tribulation in the future. It all depends on whether you can defy the heavens and change your fate. When Gu Chunsha heard this, he didn't really understand. His heart was in a mess. He could only try his best to calm down. Father, I don't really understand what you're saying. There are some things that you can't understand. Gu Taxian said, let's not talk about this. How do you feel about the world since you've come out to train? The world has been governed, and changes have never been seen before. Although there are some bandits and demons, compared to the previous dynasties, it's already a kingdom of God. I've been studying since I was young, and the history books I've read are stained with blood. There were barbarian invasions from the outside, evil cults, tyrants, and evil gentry. The people had no way to make a living, and the people were miserable. Even under the wise emperors, there were natural disasters, plagues, and diseases. But now, the natural disasters have been greatly reduced. No matter how poor the people are, they can eat rice every day. This is what I'm most touched by. Gu Chunsha discarded all distracting thoughts and spoke with sincerity. I only hope that such a life can continue for generations to come. The people of the world have suffered for so many years, and we can't return to the past. As he spoke, he recalled Wen Hong's words. The heavenly talisman emperor was no longer tolerated by the heavenly Tao and would disappear for sure. The world would fall into chaos once again. Instantly, his killing intent surged. Whoever dares to destroy the peace of the world, this sun will definitely kill them. These were his true words. Good. What kind of character was Gu Taxian? He could naturally see his son's sincerity. This is my son. Do you know why there will be great governance after great chaos, and great chaos after great governance? Why can't the people enjoy eternal peace? The cycle of the heavenly Tao, the conversion of yin and yang, just like the conversion of day and night, Gu Chunsha said. The heavenly Tao. A cold smile appeared on Gu Taxian's face. You're right. The heavenly Tao treats all living things as dogs, and in the eyes of the heavenly Tao, all living things are nothing but sacrifices. I want to create eternal peace, and I want the people to be independent and strong. The people have faith in the gods, so I will abolish the gods and let them believe in themselves so that they can solve any difficulties by themselves. In the past, the people also worshipped the gods when they were sick, so I taught them medical skills. When they were sick, they were not allowed to worship the gods, but went to the medical center to treat their illnesses. After a few generations, they would firmly remember that man can conquer nature. As he spoke, he wrote 4 large words on the paper. Man can conquer nature. The words were so large that it seemed like it could pierce through the sky. Gu Chunsha didn't dare to make sound. I want to tell them this from the depths of their souls. As long as you give me 5 generations, 100 years, 100 years, even if I don't exist in the future, the people will completely understand. Gu Taxian pointed at the 4 words on the table. Take it. This word will definitely be useful in the future. Thank you, Father, for the reward. Gu Chunsha carefully stood up, rolled up the paper with the 4 words on the table, and put it into his sleeve. You must remember these words. The heavenly Tao is not to be feared, the ancestors are not to be judged, and the words of men are not to be pitied. Gu Taxian's tone was very calm, but Gu Chunsha could feel the loneliness of being invincible in the world from his tone. You're not young anymore. You've reached the age to start a family. You've also conquered your land, but you don't have a mistress. Which girl have you taken fancy to? If the other party also agrees, I can grant a marriage. Gu Taxian asked again. Reporting to Father, I don't have any thoughts of getting married at the moment. The barbarians haven't been destroyed. How can I have a home? This is what a famous ancient general said, and I deeply agree with him. When Gu Chunsha heard this question, he said seriously, Fine. Gu Taxian waved his hand. Baiwe, and you are quite fated. You can get closer to her. Yes. Gu Qinsha was puzzled. The Heavenly Talisman Emperor had said this twice, so it was not without reason. But he felt that Lu Baiwe just wanted to use him. Gao Ling, Gu Taxian greeted after he finished speaking. Gao Ling, the chief steward of the 6 palaces, appeared in front of him silently. Go and call them in. Yes. The door of the hall opened. All the princes and Lu Baiwe filed in, but the ministers waited outside and did not summon them. Greetings, father. These princes knelt on the ground. Gu Qinsha also stood up and bowed, but his mind was still on the conversation with the Heavenly Talisman Emperor. There was a lot of information that was too important. He had to think about it carefully, including the matter of the heaven sacrifice decree. But the Heavenly Talisman Emperor's words made him feel more at ease. Lu Baiwe glanced at Gu Qinsha, as if asking something. Gu Qinsha returned a look, but did not dare to talk in private here. I have seen your results. All of you have conquered the barbarian tribes and built your fiefdoms. Don't be greedy and advance rashly. You have to be steady and bring the talents of the people to the border. The Heavenly Talisman Emperor raised his hand, and many princes stood up. This is all Father's credit. The 7th Prince Gafasa was the first to step forward. If not for Father suppressing the barbarian evil god, we would not be able to move an inch in the wilderness. Let's not talk about the duet. Gu Taxian interrupted Gafasa. You're all my sons. There's no need to be so nervous when talking about private matters. Baiwe, don't be embarrassed. I also treat you as my daughter. Your Majesty, I do not know how to repay your kindness. Lu Baiwe hurriedly lowered her head. I want to move the capital to the border. What do you think? Little 7, you first. Gu Taxian asked. The population at the border is sufficient. If we move the capital, we can instantly accumulate a lot of people and make the border more popular. It will be more beneficial to the peace of the barbarians. Moreover, the Great Stone Wall is very sturdy. There is no need to fear the barbarian army attacking. The 7th Prince Gafasa hurriedly expressed his opinion. I agree to move the capital. You're wrong, Gu Taxian said. I don't want to build the capital inside the pass, but in the wilderness outside. What? The princes looked at each other when they heard this. If it was built within the border, there would be the Great Stone Wall as a barrier. No one thought much of it, but to build it outside the border, it was like exposing the heart. Even the most radical princes were stunned by the Heavenly Talisman Emperor's idea. The 10th Prince Gu Qinsha was a fearless person. When he heard this idea, his mouth gaped. I'm afraid the entire court will oppose Father's idea. Gu Qinsha was also shocked. He originally thought that the capital would be moved within the border. With the protection of the Great Stone Wall, there would be no resistance. If it was outside the border, the court would not feel safe. When the barbarian army gathered together and launched a large-scale attack, the capital would fall. Father is wise. At this time, he would not oppose it. After thinking, he immediately said, Actually, it is a good thing to build the capital outside the border. It will allow the court to maintain their initiative. Our princes will expand our territory and build fiefdoms with the capital as the center. If anything happens, they can immediately come to the capital to rescue the king. This way, there will be many fiefdoms surrounding the capital. It will be very safe. At this time, he finally understood the true reason why the Heavenly Talisman Emperor wanted the princes to build fiefdoms. If we hide behind the Great Stone Wall, we will lose our initiative in the long run. Lu Baiwe also spoke. Always being aggressive is the way of the king. After more than 10 years of peace, the people are indulging in extravagance and pleasure. The silk pants of the nobles are also starting to become corrupted. They are not willing to study and practice martial arts, forgetting their iron and blood. This is not a good thing. The emperor's action can awaken the initiative of everyone in the court. The Great Stone Wall is a barrier. It can protect our safety, but it can also wear down our willpower. I agree as well. How would the princes dare to object? All of them agreed. Chapter 118. It wasn't that there weren't any loyal officials in the imperial court, but rather the heavenly talisman emperor had never failed before. Back then, when he built the Great Wall and opened the canal, many people objected, saying that it would make life difficult for the people. But the truth was that in just a few years, the canal was opened and the Great Wall was built. The weather was good and transportation was smooth. Every year, countless people would be fed by the canal. Many goods that couldn't be sold in the past were also sold through the canal. In an instant, the tax revenue increased by 10 times, and the imperial court and the people became rich. In the hearts of many people, the heavenly talisman emperor was omnipotent. But although the officials were obedient on the surface, when they returned, many things would happen in the dark. After Gu Qiansha left the court, he didn't return to the relay station. Instead, he stayed in Long Yuyun's manor. He didn't mingle with the other officials and just sat there silently. He didn't cultivate, but was contemplating. The words the heavenly talisman emperor gave him today were too shocking. He had to think carefully and sort out his relationships before he could decide on his future path. This was a habit he had cultivated for many years. Every day, he would meditate and reflect on his actions, correcting his mistakes. Do you blame me for being neglected in the palace all these years? But if it wasn't for that, how could your fate be reversed and you obtain such a great opportunity? I owe your mother something, so I gave you an opportunity that didn't belong to you in the first place. In the game against the heavens, I have won by half a cent, but this might not be a good thing for you. You will definitely encounter a calamity in the future. It all depends on whether you can change your fate or not. The heavenly talisman emperor's words reverberated in his mind. After an unknown period of time, Long Yuyun came in quietly. What's wrong? After returning from the court, I meditated for a much longer time than usual. My mind is also in a mess. It's not as peaceful as before. Tell me, how strong is Imperial Father exactly? Gu Qiansha asked a question that countless people had asked. It was a question that had been asked over and over again, but he couldn't help but ask. When Long Yuyun heard this question, she fell silent. Then she began to tell a story. There was a type of primordial divine beast called the Koenpong. When it was born, it wasn't very big. It stayed in a small lake. But as it grew bigger and bigger, the lake couldn't contain it anymore. It could only swim to the ocean. But in the end, it became so big that even the ocean couldn't contain it anymore. It transformed into a huge bird and flew away into the vast sky. He didn't want to leave, but the ocean couldn't hold him anymore. You mean? Father's bigger than the heavens. The heavens can't accommodate him anymore? Gu Qiansha asked. Logically speaking, yes. Long Yuyun stared at the sky, feeling a little uneasy in her heart. But as for the specifics, we also have no way of guessing. Compared to the gods, we are not even comparable to a speck of dust, and even the gods fear the heavenly talisman emperor. We are too weak. We can't fathom that realm. With regards to the current situation, how do you think we should deal with it? Gu Qiansha asked. I've seen Grand Preceptor Wenhong before. He said that Imperial Father won't last long. Once he disappears, the world will fall into chaos. I feel that this isn't an aimless statement. We should prepare in advance. If something really happens to the heavenly talisman emperor, we will be the first to die. Long Yuyun said. The first prince won't let us off. Other than that, the 10th prince, the Lei clan, and the 7th prince will also divide you. It won't be so easy to divide me. Gu Qiansha's desire to live roused in his heart. He calmed down completely. The most important thing now is to increase my strength as much as possible. In any case, I've already steeled my heart to follow you. But to plan for the long term, I have no choice but to plan for the future. Long Yuyun pondered. I'll make some arrangements. It is up to you. Gu Qiansha closed his eyes and the blood in his body surged. Large amounts of spiritual energy descended and merged with his blood. It seeped into his bones and muscles, and then into his skin. There was actually a layer of crystal-like feeling on his skin. Each of his pores gave off a bright light, and even in the dark room, one could see it clearly. He was using sun and moon refining to train in the depths of his skin. This was something that he had to do to reach the third transformation. 9 bulls, 2 tigers to the third transformation was a long process. Especially for Guqinsha, he had the sun and moon dragon scales beneath his skin, so it was even harder to train. But once he did, his defense and stamina would increase by several times, and he would reach a terrifying state. He felt the pressure. Not only that, with the words of the heavenly talisman emperor, he comprehended many things. When he cultivated the sun-moon refinement, sun-moon transformation, sun-moon annihilation, and sun-moon annihilation, he also used these moves as his foundation, adding in the Titan divine art, Devil Tome of Chaos, and the Titan god art. Many ancient emperors had also obtained the Heaven's Sacrificial Talisman and cultivated the Emperor's God Conferment art. However, they still created their own martial arts. For example, the ancient Emperor of Heaven, Void, created the Void Zenith Heaven Path. There was definitely a deep reason for that. To have one's own Tao was a must for an expert. Any martial art was just a support. Only one's own Tao was deeply rooted. He was very immersed in this cultivation for a full 3 days and 3 nights. His chi and blood flowed freely in his body as he wished. The voices of the 7 great sages of the ancient human race rang in his ears from time to time, and many Taoist rhymes reverberated repeatedly in his mind. After taking the 7 saints' heart-refining pellet, his wisdom and thinking ability were much greater than before. They were more than dozens of times broader. Many of the martial arts secrets that he couldn't understand or comprehend were all comprehended in his mind. The 7 Saint Heart Refining Pill was an item of enlightenment. Consuming it wouldn't bring any benefits to one's power, but it would be very useful for one's future cultivation. It could turn a stupid pig into a genius. This was also the reason why many experts flocked to it. It was like going to ancient times and listening to the 7 Saints' Tao lectures. Rumor had it that when the 7 saints talked about the Tao, their wisdom would give birth to flowers in the void. When the flowers fell to the ground, they would form this pill. This pill came from ancient times and couldn't be refined now. Every time it was used, there would be one less. Standing up, a clear energy spread out from his body. Guqinsha used his fist art. Sometimes he was like a ghost, sometimes he was like a mountain, sometimes he was like a soft cloud, sometimes he was like a giant beast, sometimes he was like the void, and sometimes he was like the stars. The whole room was filled with his shadows, and these shadows were actually using different fist techniques. In the end, the fist art condensed, and his body became one. He formed a weird hand seal. It wasn't a technique that he had learned, but he just did it according to his heart. I have comprehended something. He dissipated his vital energy and walked out of the room. Long Yuyin guarded the room outside. She was also cultivating, but she was already at the 3rd stage of the Tao realm and was cultivating the 4th. She had been improving really quickly. The main reason was because she had obtained Guqinsha's Heaven Dew and consumed the 7 Saint Heart Refining Pill. She also learned many things from Yiming. Moreover, her cultivation technique wasn't as vast as the Sun of Heaven sealing technique, and it wasn't as hard to raise as Guqinsha's. Of course, even if she was 1 stage higher than Guqinsha, in terms of combat strength, even 5 or 6 of her wouldn't be a match for Guqinsha. Her skin and bones weren't as tough as Guqinsha's sun and moon dragon scales. Right now, she was like a small cup, and Guqinsha was like a huge vat. They were both filled, but it was obvious that the water tank could hold far more water than a small cup. You actually cultivated like that for 3 days and 3 nights. Long Yuyun said, "Many officials came to find you, but I blocked them all. But someone waited in the living room for a day and said that he had to talk to you. Oh, Prince Hua, Gu Huasha, your 4th brother." Long Yuyun said, "He is drinking tea in the living room and said that he had to wait for you to come out." 4th brother? Guqinsha said, "Quick, bring me out." Although this 4th brother of his didn't reveal his true abilities, and everyone in the imperial court said that he was an idle king, the Grand Preceptor Wenhong, and even the Heavenly Talisman Immortal Emperor had high evaluations of him. He walked out of the room and headed to the living room. The manor was really huge, and there were many floors. From the inner room to the living room, One had to pass through 7 to 8 gardens. When he arrived at the living room, he saw Gu Huasha leisurely drinking tea while Yuhan Lu was talking to him. Yuhan Lu also rushed over from her fief. Seeing the situation here, all the officials from the capital had gathered. She didn't want to miss this opportunity. "Fourth brother, what wind blew you here?" Gu Qinsha didn't dare to be negligent and quickly greeted him. "19th brother, you made me wait." The fourth prince, Gu Huasha, chuckled. "However, it's a great compensation to have the 7th princess to chat with me. It's rare that I get to drink the drunken cloud winter plum tea." "Your Highness." Yuhan Lu stood up and curtsied. "No need to be so polite." Gu Qinsha quickly stopped her and sat down. "I still have something to say to Sister Long goodbye." Yuhan Lu found an excuse to not listen to the two brothers. Gu Qinsha nodded and let her leave, leaving only the two brothers in the living room. "I remember after so many years, this is the first time fourth brother spoke to me." After Gu Qinsha sat down, he said with a smile that wasn't a smile, "This time fourth brother came to find me. There must be something important. 19th brother, you have your own destiny. These days, your cultivation has skyrocketed and has already surpassed me." Fourth Prince Gu Huasha said with a smile, "It seems that in the future, you'll be able to compete with 7th brother and big brother." "Fourth brother, don't joke." Gu Qinsha waved his hand. "This time I saw Grand Tutor Xian Chao went home. He spoke highly of fourth brother and said that 7th brother and big brother are sloppy and ordinary." Chapter 119. Heaven's mysteries are a kind of law. For example, if the world is in chaos for a long time and the people have no way to make a living and evil spirits wreak havoc, a savior will be born to restore peace to the world. But if the world is peaceful for a long time, evil spirits and villains will be born to wreak havoc in the world. The cycle of yin and yang is endless. This is heaven's mysteries. Of course, heaven's mysteries are not that simple. Sometimes there will be many deviations, but generally speaking, it is always in an absolute balance. Fourth Prince Gu Huasha said, "In the calculations of many immortals and gods, the savior of the world, the son of providence, was Wen Hong. You and I both know what happened after that. Fourth brother, you still haven't told me why you're looking for me." Gu Qinsha did not want to stray too far from the topic. "Yesterday, Imperial Father called me over for a heart-to-heart talk." The fourth prince, Guasha, stood up and said, "Father mentioned you and asked us to visit more often, so I came here today. Actually, my purpose for coming here today is very simple. I just want to test out 19th brother's martial arts. Aren't you curious about my martial arts? Then, please make your move." Fourth brother? When Gu Qinsha heard this, he immediately became excited. He really wanted to see how strong Gu Huasha, whom Grand Preceptor Wen Hong said had some tricks, was. "Make your move." Fourth Prince Gu Huasha was a different person. He was arrogant and looked down on all the heroes in the world. His clothes fluttered even though there was no wind. This kind of aura was something Gu Qinsha had never seen on 7th Prince Gu Fasha. Immediately, Gu Qinsha's heart trembled. His hands formed a circle, and he suddenly struck with the mountain-moving style of the Great Spirit God Fist. With his current cultivation, this move was like a giant spirit moving a mountain. The mountainous force surged toward fourth Prince Gu Fasha. Too slow. Pa! All the force dissipated, and Gu Qinsha only felt himself being sent flying by a huge force. He could not see clearly at all, and he was stuck to the wall. Then he slowly slid down. He suddenly came to his senses and saw that his fourth brother was still standing in the same place, as if he had not moved at all. So powerful! Gu Qinsha immediately reacted. This fourth brother's martial arts were unfathomable. Fortunately, he had already anticipated this. He kicked his legs and changed his stance. His left hand struck out 3 times in a row. This time, it was a combination of Star Striker, Sky Piercing, and Demon Slaying. That day, when he was still a martial technique grandmaster, he used his spear on the boat to heavily injure the Black Bat demon. Now, his martial arts were dozens of times stronger than before. When he used this forbidden technique, He could even injure experts at the fourth transformation of the Tao realm. That wasn't all. His right hand executed another set of martial arts. It was the chaotic world, and apocalypse of the chaotic world demon codex. This was the standard art of slaughter, the art of chaos. He began to combine the two sets of martial arts into one, using them together. Using one mind to do two things, the left and right changes were displayed, the sun and moon turning into a series of changes. Between the changes in strength, it could be said that even an expert like Jade Frost-Dew would have to avoid the sharp edge. Whoosh! Guchensh's movement was as swift as a clap of thunder. From a tricky angle, he instantly arrived in front of number 4. Fist shadows and murderous aura instantly engulfed number 4. Pum! There was another loud explosion. Guchensha still did not see clearly when he was sent flying again. He was plastered against the wall, but he was not injured. It was obvious that number 4 had a sense of propriety. This state of not being injured after being sent flying was much more difficult than beating him to the point of vomiting blood. This was because number 4's control of force made it seem as if it were light. Number 4 saw through all the changes in his moves and succeeded with a light blow. Again, Gu Qinsha didn't believe that he would be defeated without even being able to see it clearly. He attacked time and time again, but was smacked away. Apart from Sun and Moon Kill, he used pretty much all his skills, but it was useless. Each time he charged towards the 4th, he would be smacked into the wall. He didn't even know how he lost. Moreover, what the 4th used wasn't Xiantian Earth energy, but a normal fist technique. How did this happen? I thought that my physical strength had reached the peak, and as long as I didn't face Xiantian Earth energy, I would have the upper hand. Now, it seems like I was just a frog at the bottom of a well. Gu Qinsha was hit 30 to 40 times and finally understood that the gap between him and the 4th was huge. You use armor and sword. The 4th Gu Huasha said. Gu Qinsha didn't hold back. With a thought, Pili Pala, the great dragon armor covered his body, and he took out the demon descending blade. This sword and armor were connected to his heart and soul, and he carried them with him day and night. He breathed in and out and used his blood to write runes. Now that he summoned them out, he was fully equipped. His strength wasn't something that his bare fists could compare to. That day, he wore this armor and held this sword. In just an instant, he sliced off Yu Ba's finger. Although he was caught off guard, it showed that he had the right to fight with someone at Tao Realm Transformation 6. But now, his cultivation level had increased by 1 level, and his armor and treasured sword were much stronger than before. He didn't know how much sun and moon dragon blood he had absorbed these days, and he was confident that even if Yu Ba was prepared, he would still be no match for him. His body moved slightly, and sword energy surged. The demon descending blade was several times faster than his physical attacks, and the sword wind even tore holes in the ground. But it was useless. The moment the sword energy reached to the 4th, pung, he was smacked away along with his armor. It was no different from before. Collect. At this moment, he knew that even if he used sun and moon kill, the outcome would be the same. He still wouldn't be able to see how he was sent flying. The gap between him and the 4th was just too huge. The armor was retracted, and the demon subduing blade was also wrapped up by the armor and wrapped around his waist. 4th brother, I am no match for you at all. What kind of martial arts are you using? You didn't even use Xiantian energy to beat me up like this. Gu Qinsha didn't feel dispirited from failure, and instead, he learned humbly. This is a technique I created, heart in the vast outer sky. The 4th Gu Huasha didn't seem to have attacked at all, but his aura became even stronger when Hong is right. Big brother and 7th are really normal, and even if they work together, they're no match for me. Actually, 19th brother, you were the first to see my technique. 4th brother, you really hit it well. Gu Qinsha was shocked. If Big Brother and 7th found out, they would probably spit out blood from anger. I don't care about their attitude. The 4th sat down once more, and his aura disappeared. He was still lazy and smiling, but 19th brother, it is best if you don't spread this out. Of course, Guchen Sha was still guessing, but couldn't think of anything. He could only ask openly, "Fourth brother, what is your cultivation level?" You'll know when your cultivation level increases a few more levels. The fourth Gu Hua Sha waved his hand. Although seventh brother is not as good as me, he is a direct descendant of the Empress and has the resources of the number one aristocratic family. Even a pig can become a demon. Moreover, although seventh brother is not a demon or a ghost, he is intelligent. Saying that his talent is normal is only from Wen Hong's own point of view. However, the school of legalism behind seventh brother has produced a truly powerful figure in recent years called Fa Wuxian. If you meet him, you have to be careful. Fa Wuxian. Guchen Sha had heard Yiming say that he was almost killed by this person. 19th brother, although your martial arts are strong, you haven't formed a martial art that is truly suitable for you. People are different from each other. Even twins who look exactly the same will have different personalities and thoughts. All martial arts might not be suitable for you. The martial arts that are most suitable for you are still the martial arts that are born from the depths of your soul. The fourth Gu Hua Sha warned, of course, this kind of martial art that is born from the depths of the soul is very difficult. Most people still continue the martial arts of their predecessors, but that's understandable. They just can't truly stand out. The world is big, and to stand out, you must have your own unique martial arts. That's true. Guchen Sha was familiar with history books and knew that even in learning, one had to break away from the shackles of their predecessors and have their own independent opinions. Only then could one become a master. Thank you for your guidance, fourth brother. What else did father say to you? This is also the real reason why I came to find you today. The fourth Gu Hua Sha said solemnly. Father said that no matter what happens in the future, he wants you and me to protect the people of this world and continue his path. He also hopes that there won't be an emperor in the future, or that everyone will be an emperor. His wish is for everyone in the world to be independent and free. Everyone will not invade each other. Everyone will respect each other, and everyone will have mutual affinity. This is the unity of all living beings. Guchen Sha sighed. But why did he say such things? Could it be that the rumors are true? Is it because of the rumors that father cannot tolerate the heavens? It won't last long? This is what Hong said, right? The fourth raised his eyebrows and gave off a chilling aura. You don't have to worry about this. Things aren't that simple. Those who try to bring chaos to the world, whether they are immortals, demons, or demons, I will kill them all. You and I have to do our best to do this. Fourth brother, don't worry. Father's wish is my wish. If I can do this, I will have no regrets. Guchen Sha said solemnly. Good brother. Lao Si patted Guchen's shoulder and said, I think that Lao Chi, Lao De, and Lao Tenth have different ambitions. Originally, I would not have said such a thing. But now, there is no harm in saying it. If anything happens in the imperial court in the future, the two of us may have to bear the responsibility. Right now, the general situation of the world and the national policy are both extremely good. Whoever spoils this national policy, even if my power is meager, I will not cherish my life. Guchen Sha also said, Good brother, your sharpness can cut through metal. Ha ha ha! The fourth laughed out loud. The world is so beautiful, and it is filled with eye-catching treasures. However, there will always be people who want to shatter it. But because of that, our existence is meaningful, right? Pung! The air around him exploded, and with a shake, he actually disappeared. Guchen Sha didn't even know how he had left. Even if Yiming wanted to leave with his Dao Realm glass jade body cultivation, Guchen Sha could barely see him. One must know that he was cultivating the Sun-Moon Dragon, and his eyes were slowly evolving into the Sun-Moon Dragon eyes. Chapter 120. Before he met the fourth, Guchen Sha had no real geniuses. The Grand Preceptor Wen Hong did not count, as that was too high. Now that he had seen it, he knew that true geniuses were unfathomable, and he was no match for them. Up until now, he had not seen clearly what the fourth's heart in the vast beyond heavens was, and what its moves were. He was not considered a genius, even though he had cultivated the Emperor's God-sealing technique. From a certain point of view, he was also the result of resources, even though these resources were earned through his own hard work. Of course, he was not dispirited by the fact that he was not a genius. Instead, he was deep in thought, thinking of ways to work harder and improve himself. I didn't expect the fourth prince to be so powerful. Cold Jade walked in, holding a jade orb in her hand. It was about the size of a fist and looked like an eyeball. Within it, there were many images. This was her most powerful magical treasure, the Eye of the Jade deity. In the past, this treasure was called the Thousand Manifestations Jade Orb. After obtaining Gu Chencha's heavenly dew, she transformed the treasure once again. You didn't see the fourth prince's movements clearly, but my Eye of the Jade deity can slow it down and record it. Do you want to see? What? This treasure has such a function? Gu Chencha was overjoyed. Why else would it be called the Eye of the Jade deity? Cold Jade smiled. This treasure can also calculate the flaws of martial arts. Unfortunately, the fourth prince's martial arts are too powerful, and this Eye of the Jade deity only has one pupil. It is difficult to calculate where his flaws are. If the heavenly dew could improve it to 2 pupils, then the fourth prince wouldn't be so mysterious anymore. You're thinking of my heavenly dew, aren't you? Gu Chencha laughed. But no matter, I'll use the heavenly dew to upgrade this treasure. I'm speaking the truth. Cold Jade said seriously, the highest level of the Eye of the Jade deity is 9 pupils. Legend has it that it can see through heaven and earth, as well as the changes in the realm of the gods. Other than that, it can also see the heavenly Daos of the future and calculate everything in the world. However, each additional pupil of this treasure requires an enormous amount of spiritual chi and an even higher grade of immortal chi, so it's very difficult to advance. I don't even have a high chance of advancing it to the 2nd pupil. I didn't need a lot of heavenly dew to transform the jade sphere of myriad jade into the 1st pupil of the jade deity's eye, but if I wanted to upgrade it to the 2nd pupil, I would need tens of times more heavenly dew than the 1st pupil. 3 pupils are 10 times more than 2 pupils. Do the math yourself. How much do you need to reach 9 pupils? That's true. Gu Chencha nodded. Let me see how the fourth defeated me just now. You'll need 3 drops of spiritual liquid to pour on it. Jade Frost Dew said, not only does this ball require a large amount of spiritual energy to advance, but also consumes a lot of spiritual liquid to activate it. If a Dao Realm expert doesn't have spiritual liquid, they can use their own blood to activate it. Dao Realm experts breathed in spiritual energy and merged it into their blood, causing their blood to contain large amounts of spiritual energy. This was similar to spiritual liquid. That's easy. Gu Chencha flicked his finger, and a drop of blood flew out from his fingertip, landing on the Jade God's eye. Instantly, the Jade eye shone brightly. Jade Frost Dew chanted a few incantations, and the light changed. A giant projection appeared in front of the 2 of them. In the projection, Gu Chencha was attacking the fourth. Slow down, Jade Frost Dew hollered. The projection slowed down by hundreds and thousands of times. Only then did Gu Chencha see it clearly. When it appeared in front of the fourth's body moved slightly, and he slapped forward. This slap didn't contain any energy at all. It was ethereal, and the airflow didn't fluctuate at all. It was like an exquisite dance. The aura it gave off was like it was flying beyond the clouds, into the sky above. Gu Chencha attacked again and again. Even if he activated the Great Dragon Armor and Demon Descending Blade, he was still defeated by that slap. If he hadn't slowed it down by thousands of times, he wouldn't have been able to see where that slap came from and where it went. This slap didn't belong to this world. It belonged to the sky above. Over and over again, he looked at it for a full hour. Then, the projection suddenly disappeared. The spiritual energy in the drop of blood had been used up. Gu Chunsha flicked another drop of blood onto the projection and watched it again. Your blood contains such powerful spiritual energy. Even with 3 drops of spirit liquid, it can only last for a few dozen breaths of time. A single drop of your blood lasted for an hour. Is your blood more precious than a treasure? It's almost comparable to a primordial divine beast. Jade Frostdew looked at him as if she was looking at a treasure. Don't tell anyone. Gu Chensha waved his hand and said, My flesh is indeed a treasure. It's because I've consumed too much heavenly dew. In addition, I've eaten some heavenly ingredients and earthly treasures. I've also fused with the bloodlines of many primordial mutant beasts. After being tempered by supreme divine art, I'm afraid that if an ordinary person eats a mouthful of my flesh, their lifespan will be prolonged. They won't age, and their lifespan will increase greatly. So magical. Jade Frostdew pondered. No one knew what she was thinking. Wong. The projection appeared again. Gu Chinsha repeatedly watched the exchange with the fourth. His mind was thinking, his body was moving, and he was thinking about how to avoid it if they were to meet again. He was completely immersed in the exploration of martial arts. It was rare for him to meet an opponent like the fourth who could defeat him. That slap was calculated thousands of times in his mind, trying to figure out the concept and observing the changes in his strength. The projection was broken and reconnected with a drop of blood. Just like that, another 3 days and 3 nights passed. His mind was hazy, and something was about to break through. Suddenly, he laughed. So that's how it is. That's how it is. He took a step forward. His body flickered, and he punched out. This fist was not any martial arts he had learned, but it was very suitable for him. This fist contained a lot of changes, but it was straightforward. It used the simplest force to break through the countless changes in the world and established a firm belief. This fist was not the most powerful, nor was it the most exquisite, nor was it the toughest. However, it had a sense of self-improvement and was determined to forge ahead. No matter how difficult it would not give up. There was hope in the midst of despair, and there was light in the darkness. This was the fist of a normal person and the fist of a clumsy person. Although people are clumsy, stupid, ordinary, they also have hope. They will forge ahead. This world belongs to normal people, to the common people, not to geniuses. This fist of mine is called the clumsy fist. It allows clumsy and stupid people to constantly strive to become stronger and have hope for the future. After Gu Chansha threw out this fist, he had a path in his heart, and he had his own martial arts foundation. He felt that this was the true meaning of martial arts. In this world, there were few who were born strong, and there were many who were weak. The true meaning of martial arts was to allow weak and stupid people to become stronger through diligent practice. In this world, from the bottom to the top, no matter how difficult it was, there was a way forward. As the saying goes, heaven never bars one's way. The path of martial arts was a chance for the weak to become strong. Gu Chansha had comprehended for 3 days and 3 nights, and he had created this clumsy fist, which grasped the true meaning of martial arts. Is this what you have comprehended? Cold Jade looked at this fist. It was far from being as exquisite as the Great Spirit God technique, let alone Gu Chinch's own unique skill. This fist was laughably clumsy, and the changes in force were very simple. It was not even as good as the most common move, Black Tiger Steel's Heart. No matter how she looked at it, it did not look like something that Gu Chansha had comprehended for 3 days and 3 nights. Why don't you give it a try? Gu Chinch's eyes lit up, and he was extremely happy. At this moment, he had finally established his Tao foundation and grasped the true meaning of martial arts. At this moment, he could forget about the Emperor's God sealing art, the Great Spirit God technique, the scripture of hell suppression, and the book of chaotic demon. Only the clumsy fist was suitable for him. I want to see what kind of unique skill you have comprehended. Cold Jade, put away the Jade deity's eyes and separated her hands. I have sparred with you a few times, but I have never displayed my true strength. Today, I will show you the unique skill that I have cultivated for many years, the jade-breaking divine skill. Before she could finish her sentence, she was sent flying. What kind of fist technique is this? She circulated her spiritual energy around her body, but she was not injured. She could not help but be shocked. Could it be that you have learned the fourth prince's heart is in the vast beyond heaven? Just now, she did not see Gu Chencha's fist clearly. Again, Gu Chensha strode forward and punched again. The punch was laughably clumsy, and the posture was ugly. It was like an old hen trying to imitate an eagle and fly into the sky, flapping its wings. Anyone who saw it would think that it was impossible. Tai flying phantom kill. Cold jade do swayed, and her shadows could be seen everywhere. She had used the ultimate move of the Tai fantasy sect, and last time, Gu Chencha's blood and chi were in turmoil. Bang! Gu Chencha's seemingly clumsy punch broke through the layers of illusions and landed on her body. She was sent flying again, and her body was plastered against the wall, and she slowly slid down. Her body was not injured, but her chi and chi were in turmoil. I don't believe it. Cold Jade Du's eyes were sharp, and she was actually angry. Her hands made a series of complicated gestures. Jade breaking rebirth. She was furious. Her beautiful hair fluttered behind her head, and her feet were not stained by the dust. She was like a ghost, and her palms were straight, and her fingers were like claws. Bada! Gu Chensha waited for her aura to reach its peak, and then punched again. It was still crooked, like a child scribbling. But Cold Jade Du could not block it, and was sent flying again, hitting the wall. She attacked again, and was sent flying again and again. The scene of Gu Chensha being sent flying 3 days ago was repeated. Cold Jade Du was no match for Gu Chensha in terms of martial arts. Finally, she stopped, and her eyes were filled with disbelief. What kind of martial arts is this? Why is the posture so ugly and full of flaws? I just can't block it. This is not fourth brother's heart in the vast beyond heaven. This is a genius fist skill. Gu Chensha looked at his own hands and seemed both sad and happy. This is the clumsy fist that I created myself. This fist skill does not focus on the moves and is very simple and ridiculous. It is just like how the gods and immortals look at the common people. It is so ugly, cheap, and miserable. But even the fools of the common people have the heart to improve. They have never given up hope. And in the midst of low hopes, seeds can be born. You have really comprehended the Tao. Cold Jade Du was stunned. But you don't seem very happy? This fist skill is still budding. Gu Chensha said, "This is the greatest power. This cannot be said to be the path, but it is just a weak light. However, my martial arts have improved a lot. In the future, as long as I learn more martial arts and comprehend other things by analogy, I will be able to comprehend more and expand the light to illuminate the world." It seems like the fourth prince has really stimulated you. Cold Jade Du said, "In 3 days and 3 nights, you have comprehended such a profound skill. You have your own path in the future, but I don't. I can only practice the martial arts of the predecessors." Chapter 121. Logically speaking, an expert like her could easily deal with someone at the second transformation of Tao Realm. Even if she allowed them to kill her, it would be useless, as they wouldn't be able to break through her defense at all. However, Gu Chensha had sent her flying with a simple punch. This was the true fist of Tao. Only by comprehending the true essence of martial arts that was most suitable for oneself could one have such power. This was because Gu Chensha had comprehended that even though number 4's fist technique used the power of flesh and blood, it contained a kind of rule. It was something that could not be explained clearly. It caused all of number 4's essence, chi, and spirit to gather at one point when he punched out. Thus, his fist gave birth to spirituality. It had the feeling of having no regrets, even if he died 9 times. Even if Gu Chensha used Sun and Moon Kill with his bare fists, he might not be able to defeat Cold Jade Du so easily. This didn't mean that Clumsy Fist was stronger than Sun and Moonkill. On the contrary, Sun and Moonkill was much stronger than Clumsy Fist. Clumsy Fist was the most suitable for Gooch and Shah. It allowed him to inject all his energy, and the will to die 9 times without regrets into his fist technique. For example, if a kid couldn't use a spear, then he might as well use a small blade to hurt people. Moreover, Guchan Shah didn't even comprehend 1,000th of the mysteries of Sun and Moon Kill, so naturally, he wouldn't be able to use the power of the Sun and Moon to kill evil demons. Sun and Moon Kill was said to be from the hands of the ancient emperors. Once it was used, the Sun and Moon would appear in the sky at the same time. The entire area would be filled with the power to destroy evil, and no evil demon would be able to escape. Guchinch's Clumsy Fist was just a change in strength. Of course, this Clumsy Fist could allow him to change his strength to the extreme. Sun and Moon Kill was too strong, so he wasn't able to use it as freely as before. Of course, he would still cultivate Sun and Moon training, Sun and Moon transformation, Sun and Moon Kill, Sun and Moon Dragon, etc., to perfect his Clumsy Fist. After this comprehension, although he didn't reach the 3rd transformation, Copper Skin Iron Bones, he felt like his cultivation had greatly increased. If this continued, he would be able to compete with those geniuses. I'm going to walk around the streets and take a look at the flourishing heavenly talismans. When the moon was high in the evening and the lights were first lit, all the servants in the manor lit the candles. Everywhere was brightly lit and jubilant. It could be seen that Long Yuyun was quite good at running a household. Those candles weren't ordinary items either. They were made from the fat of a species called musk bear from the wilderness, mixed with many spices. They were extremely expensive, and after burning, the entire manor would be filled with a fragrance. Not only could it refresh one's mind, regulate one's body and mind, but it could also expel insects and kill diseases. It was a must-have item for rich and noble families. Of course, the true royal family used moonstones for illumination. Guchinch's fief, the castle, was inlaid with moonstones. When night fell, it would be as bright as day, but it was a lot more luxurious than this castle. The sounds of frying and cooking could be heard in the manor's kitchen, and smoke rose up. It was dinner time. Of course, people like Guchan Shah, who had reached the Dao realm, did not need to eat. However, the servants and the guards of the manor had to eat. Unknowingly, I have stopped living in the mortal world. Guchan Shah looked at the smoke and had a weird feeling in his heart. The outside world is really lively. It has already exceeded the capital. Long Yun walked over. These few days I've heard a lot of news. After the imperial court announced that they would move the capital, this place became more than 10 times more prosperous. Our various merchant companies are really popular, and our goods are all swept clean. We can only transport goods through the night. Luckily, the Celestial Designer Institute has started to pave roads, so it is much more convenient to transport goods. I heard that the imperial court wants to build a railway from the capital to transport goods to the border. It is much more convenient than transporting goods by water. Cold Jade Do is really interested. Using iron to pave roads is just too extravagant. This is the brilliance of the Heavenly Talisman Emperor. He's slowly changing the minds of the entire world, Long Yuyun said. Seeing as you wish to go out for a stroll, then we can accompany you. The 3 of them changed into normal clothes and just walked out. They didn't call for a carriage. Originally, there were special coachmen in the manor, equipped with luxurious carriages and horses, ready for the owner to go out at any time. The manor wasn't located in the city, but in the outskirts. However, the roads were extremely smooth, paved with mud and stone, without a speck of dust. The roads were smooth and comfortable, with mud and stone drains on both sides. On both sides of the road were fertile fields, vegetable fields, orchards, and fish ponds. It was already spring. The cold had completely dissipated, and the atmosphere of spring was overflowing. After walking for tens of li, a wide road appeared in front of them. The market was like a chessboard, bustling with people. At night, the street lamps were lit, but they were lit with grease and covered with glass to keep out the wind. There was also a street management office to take care of the business. These people were recruited from the commoners and were paid by the imperial court. There were all sorts of shops selling silk clothes, snacks, jades, and even swords, bows, and armors. Other than that, there were also bookstores, grain, oil and meat shops, taverns, restaurants, banks, and pawn shops. Of course, most of them were the various auction houses. Some items were hard to appraise and could only be auctioned off to the highest bidder. Many treasures in the wilderness were like this. Let's go see the fireworks. Bang! In the distance, fireworks shot into the sky, outlining the beautiful colors. A group of children ran wildly on the street with candied fruits in their hands, while the adults shouted from behind. Plop! A little girl with braided hair was tripped by someone. Her forehead was red and swollen, and she began to cry in pain. Glyph hurriedly picked her up and rubbed her forehead. Immediately, the swelling disappeared, and the little girl stopped crying. Long Yuyun smiled and helped her wipe away her tears. Jade also bought a new candied fruit from a nearby shop and stuffed it into the little girl's hands. The little girl immediately smiled. At this time, the little girl's parents ran over and hurriedly thanked them. They picked up the candied fruit that had fallen to the ground and threw it into the dustbins on both sides of the road. How old is this little girl? Glyph asked. 6 years old. It's time for her to go to school. The little girl's father was about 23 or 24 years old and wore cotton clothes. He didn't come from a wealthy family, but he was spirited and didn't lack food or clothing. I really have to thank your majesty. Yesterday, the officials went from house to house and told us that the little girl must also go to school. The imperial court also provides 3 meals a day. The imperial court also pays for the books and papers to study. If she does well in the exams, there will be money. What a benevolent government. Then she must study hard and practice martial arts. Glyph rubbed the little girl's head. Things are different now. In the future, women can also become officials. Of course. This little girl has really caught up with the times. A few decades ago, my father and grandfather generation didn't even have enough to eat. If they had a maid, they would have to sell it to a rich family. How could they have such a life now? The little girl's father repeatedly thanked the emperor and left. I didn't think that your majesty would dare to do this. The imperial court pays for the education of all the children in the world. Jade said. When I heard this rumor, I thought it was just a rumor spread by the imperial court. I didn't think that the common people would actually be informed. If this goes on, what will happen in a few decades? Children will study and practice martial arts. If they have a good foundation, how strong will the country be? Long Yuyun was also shocked. Roar! 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 At this time, a group of several hundred soldiers formed an orderly formation and patrolled the streets. They were dressed in armor and carried long swords on their backs. Each of them had the backs of a tiger and the waist of a bear. As they ran, they sang a loud and clear military song. It gave people a great sense of security. At the very least, there were no longer any hoodlums, thieves, or criminals in the market. On the streets, there were also commoners dressed in lowly official uniforms sweeping the streets. They were in charge of cleaning the entire city and were paid by the imperial court. The entire city was kept clean at all times. This is a street of clothes, satin, and furs. It's 10 li long. As they walked, Long Yin pointed out to Glyph, over there is a street of restaurants. Over there is a street of weapons and armor. The street of medicine is at the other end. The bookstore is over there, and the brothel is at the other side of the river. It's very lively over there. Do you want to take a look? It's newly built, but it's even more flourishing than the capital. There are even brothels and casinos. Those are not my cup of tea. Glyph waved his hands. However, Imperial Father is wise to not restrict such things. There are some things that cannot be prohibited. Why not bring them to the table and place them under the sun to bask in the sun? That way, it will be much cleaner. Look at these commoners. Their faces are filled with genuine smiles. Look at the children. They're all very happy. Yuhan Lu said, although our Bayou country is rich, Compared to Yonko, we are far behind. I wonder how long this scene will last. Will it be a flash in the pan, or will it last for generations to come? Gu Qinsha was worried. He was most afraid of the fireworks of the Golden Age, which were fleeting. Today, there will be a Herculean beef auction. The starting bid for a gene of meat is $100. A few auction houses had signs hanging outside their doors, and a few workers were shouting from the roadside, "Everyone, don't miss it." Following their shouts, many horse carriages stopped at the plaza in front of the auction house, and a few gentlemen dressed in luxurious clothes got off to buy. The Herculean beef had long been on the dining tables of the rich, but in many counties and prefectures, the rich could not enjoy it. Now that the war in the wilderness was getting more intense, the meat was also increasing in quantity, and the supply was increasing. Many of the country's gentlemen and local tycoons came one after another. The top powers of Yonko were naturally the aristocratic families that had existed for thousands of years. They had the bloodline of gods or the bloodline of ancient saints, such as the legalists, Hung, Xian, Lei, Hong, and Yin families. These families had not fallen for thousands of years, and when the dynasty changed, the imperial court could not do anything to them. In fact, they had to be respectful, not daring to offend them in the slightest. In fact, they even supported the emperor and sometimes joined forces to depose the emperor, taking control of the country's divine weapons. They were also inextricably linked to the ancient immortal sections. Secondly, there were families whose ancestors were immortal cultivators. Even now, that immortal was still in the immortal sects, allowing the family to prosper and occupy a treasured land. Although they were not as rich as the thousand-year-old aristocratic families, they still had great influence. They could barely be called a small aristocratic family. Thirdly, there were the aristocratic families of the imperial court, such as the Liu family and the Shi family. The imperial court had great influence, and with the help of the heavenly talisman emperor, they could suppress the small aristocratic families, but they could not compare to the large aristocratic families. These three classes were high and mighty. Below them were the ordinary nobles, and then the rich and powerful families. Below them were the big landowners of the various provinces. The lowest class were the country's gentlemen and local tycoons. Before the heavenly talisman emperor, only the top three classes could enjoy the Herculean beef, but now, even the lowest class of country's gentlemen and local tycoons have begun to buy it. Chapter 122. Barbarian Race Martial Path Grandmaster Slave Auction. He was cursed and will definitely listen. Fire Pearl from the Celestial Craft Institute. If you want it, come tomorrow afternoon to name a price. Gu Qinsha and Long Yiyun walked into one of the streets of the auction house. This place was the busiest and the road was the widest. There were tall buildings on both sides, and at the back was a large auction area. The people on the streets were all important people, and one could even see officials. Gu Qinsha listened to the messy shouts of the servants who came out to solicit customers and laughed. There's a barbarian martial arts grandmaster slave for auction? I heard that only people with high cultivation can use the curse. Dao Realm, 12 Transformation Soul, Snatching Realm can only be reached. This auction house isn't simple. It belongs to the Hung family, and the Crown Prince is behind it. Long family looked at the auction house. On it were the words, Eternal Trading Company. Yong is my great Yonko, and Hung is the Hung family. Added together, it is eternal. Not bad. Gu Qinsha nodded his head. Where's the Long Family Trading Company? It is there. The scale is okay, but compared to the Eternal Trading Company, it is much weaker. The main reason is that they don't have anything new to attract people. If they can take out something good, it will cause a commotion and we will be able to get famous. Long Yin looked at Gu Qinsha and knew that he had something good on him. A tall tree attracts the wind. Gu Qinsha waved his hand and said, "Right now, we're not strong enough. The difference between us and those true aristocratic families is too great. Even if we take out some good stuff, there's no guarantee that no problems will occur. Although they won't dare to do it openly, we won't be able to withstand their hidden methods. We should enjoy the good stuff ourselves and raise our strength. That's true. Long Yuyun nodded her head. Actually, since I joined you, the Long family trading company has been suppressed in the dark. You don't know about this. That can't be avoided. Gu Qinsha frowned, but there is nothing I can do. I can only take a step back and bear with it. But recently Father has placed a lot of emphasis on me, so they should restrain themselves. As long as His Majesty is still here, even the great aristocratic families with thousands of years of history cannot act recklessly. Long Yiyun said, but recently, the Hua clan has sent people to cooperate with me in business and have secretly resolved many problems. Fourth brother? Gu Qinsha nodded. Since he's willing to join hands with us, then he must be fine. In the future, the two of you should make more contact with his residence and visit him. That is for sure. Long Yuyun had a deep look in her eyes. It's just that the fourth prince has been hiding for many years. This time, he acted rashly and exposed himself. Since I, your fourth brother, dare to make a move, I won't be afraid of any other changes. Gu Qinsha was not worried about the fourth. This person was many times stronger than him, so worrying about himself was the right thing to do. Pa! Pa pa! The sound of a whip cracking could be heard on the street. The pedestrians all moved aside. Some of them didn't manage to move in time. The whip coiled around them and flung them to the sides of the road. It was simply tyrannical and tyrannical. The crown prince has arrived. Pedestrians, make way. 4 people wielded their long whips, opening the way and shouting at the same time. Behind them, there was a large sedan carried by 16 people. 8 maids stood by the side, holding glass lamps in their hands. The lamps weren't lit by fire, but by moonstones giving off a gentle light. Other than that, there were eunuchs carrying incense burners. The sedan was surrounded by guards wearing horned dragon armor, looking murderous. With this kind of extravagance, anyone could tell that the person sitting in the sedan was an important person. This is Crown Prince Gu Hongsha's son, Gu Tanjian. He is also the eldest son of the first wife, and has long been conferred the title of Crown Prince. He can be considered your nephew. This grandeur, this scene, is much more important than you a prince. Long Yun looked at the sedan and the extravagance around it. Should we hide or go forward? Eldest prince's crown prince? The kid who wore the great spirit god ring that my mother left for me? Gu Chincha's gaze was ice cold. I am his uncle. His rampage on the streets is already a nuisance to the people. Imperial Father has ordered many times that when ministers and generals travel, as long as it's not for official business, we should try our best not to disturb the people. For him to order his subordinates to wave their whips and sweep anyone who doesn't move aside, this is simply ruining the image of the royal family in the eyes of the people. Pa! The sedan had reached the front of the group. Seeing that Gu Qinsha and the other 2 were still standing in the middle of the road, refusing to move aside, the 4 whips-wielding experts shook their hands lightly, and the long whips swept out like snakes, wanting to wrap around the 3 of them. Gu Qinsha didn't move. Jade Frostdew and Long Yiyun snorted coldly and acted at the same time. The long whips had just arrived, but before they could even touch their bodies, they pushed out with their palms. The moment the whips came into contact with their palms, it was like a python biting back at them. Instantly, the 4 of them were sent flying to the side of the road, their muscles numb, and they couldn't even stand up. How dare you? Shwa shwa shwa. The soldiers wearing the horned flood dragon armor surrounded them and wrapped them up. The people around all scattered, but there were still some who gathered to watch the show. You dare to offend the prince. What are your crimes? A eunuch gave out a sharp voice. Nephew, you are so arrogant. Have you forgotten about the teachings? Our royal family doesn't want to disturb the people. Gu Qinsha stared at the sedan and spoke. So, it is 19th, uncle. A cold voice spread out from the sedan, filled with killing intent. All of you back off. Yes. The soldiers all retreated to the back. These soldiers are cold and emotionless. They are worse than death warriors. I don't think they are alive, but they are refined Xian demon iron corpses. This is a secret technique of the demon path. Long Yun suddenly said softly. Even though these warriors aren't in the Tao realm, they're no weaker than a Tao realm cultivator at the second transformation, and their martial arts are extremely powerful. Xian demon, iron corpses? Gu Chen's heart jumped. He had read books and knew about the corpse refining techniques of the demon path sects. They were really strong, but also really cruel. They had caused bloodshed in many years. Xian demon corpse sect was the best at refining corpses. The corpses were split into Xian demon iron corpse, Xian demon copper corpse, Xian demon silver corpse, Xian demon gold corpse, Xian demon jade corpse, Xian demon flying yiksha, and Xian demon azura. The curtain of the sedan was opened, and a person walked out. It was a 16 to 17-year-old teen who was even older than Gu Qinsha. He wore a silver silk shirt and had a jade crown on his head. There was a jade belt around his waist and a bone ring on his finger. This was the Great Spirit God ring. Even people who didn't know martial arts could tell that this ring was extraordinary. 19th uncle, I am here to greet you. The young man walked down from the sedan chair and looked at Gu Qinsha with disdain on his face. However, he bowed slightly as a form of greeting. He then turned the ring on his finger and looked at Long Yuyun. Long Yuyun, I didn't expect you to have sided with 19th uncle. Just a few days ago, my father executed a group of pirates with the surname Long. I wonder if that had anything to do with your family? You're here. I'm going to take you away to investigate your relationship with those evil pirates. Then he smiled evilly. 19th uncle, the girl beside you is a criminal. It is better for me to take her away in case she is accused of harboring a criminal. Oh, Gu Qinsha laughed. Criminal? Who made that decision? To the boss. He isn't the emperor yet. I met with your imperial grandfather a few days ago and personally reported this matter. I am in charge of recruiting the overseas kingdoms. Nephew, just do your own thing and don't stretch your hands out. Otherwise, if you cause trouble, even I, 19th uncle, won't be able to protect you. 19th uncle, my father has obtained evidence of the Long family's evil intentions. They indiscriminately killed the people of Great Yong. He has already handed it over to Imperial Grandfather. When the time comes, the evidence will be irrefutable. Let's see how you will protect him. Gu Tanjian continued to play with the giant spirit ring. I heard that this giant spirit ring was carved from the bones of the Great Spirit God. It has been reinforced with 90 to 90 Great Star shifting mantras. When I wore it when I was little, it cleansed my body and was incomparably wondrous. Relying on treasures to cultivate is not the way of a king. Gu Qinsha knew that this kid was deliberately angering him, but he didn't get angry or take back the ring. Whether or not it is the way of the king, 19th uncle will know in the future. Gu Tanjian smiled faintly. My father has guarded the coastal border for many years. If 19th uncle wishes to recruit the Baoyu nation, you will need to borrow my father's strength. Otherwise, if you encounter a storm at sea, pirates, or demons, it will be bad. These words were a clear threat. He then looked at Frost Jade Dew. This must be the 7th princess of Baoyu nation. It is a good thing that you wish to recruit the imperial court, but you must follow the right person. Otherwise, you will be surrounded and suppressed as a rebel. The Crown Prince of Baoyu Nation sent an envoy to my father's residence 3 days ago to discuss important matters. I appreciate the heir's intentions, but Frost Jade Dew is mediocre in everything else, but she has a good eye for people. She knows who to follow and who to keep a respectful distance from with evil intentions. Frost Jade Dew was not as taciturn as Long Yuyun, but her words were sharp. Very good. 7th princess, remember what you said today. A sinister smile appeared in Gu Tanjian's eyes. Don't fall into the hands of evil people. When that happens, you will be in a state where you can neither live nor die. Demonic Tao. Frost Jade Dew only said 2 words. You. Gu Tanjian's murderous aura grew stronger. Air. At this moment, a few servants hurriedly walked out of the Eternal Trading Company and arrived in front of Gu Tanjian. Lady Luo Wu has arrived and is waiting for the heir. I will go right away. Gu Tanjian immediately waved his hand and sneered. 19th uncle, Your nephew still has matters to attend to. I will take my leave first." As he spoke, he led his people into the trading company, but he couldn't be bothered with Gu Chensha. "Who is Luo Wu?" Gu Tanjian saw that he wanted to kill you, but he restrained himself. Gu Chensha asked, "You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories."